of one of my songs.
Didn't you have a different song before?
Yeah, I've had 2 different songs before. That one I just couldn't find, so I basically went in. The original one was whatever, right? And then I took a part I actually liked from one of my songs on a demo, and I was like, this is what I want to use for the intro. And I just went into Pro Tools, snipped it down, did a little quick fuck it, because it comes in hot, and then I just did a quick fade out. It's like a 6-second, 7-second intro. And for some reason, when I transferred all the files from my Mac over to the PC, I lost that track. I don't know how. I don't know where. It should be in the same folder as everything else, but so I'm just too lazy to go back in, because all I have to do is like literally reboot my Mac and either search for the file or just launch Pro Tools and go back in and make it. But that computer takes so long to boot. It's so old now.
Oh, yeah.
It's 10 years old. It's a 2015. Like, that's why I quit using it, right? So it's not that it can't be done. It's just I'm so fucking busy and lazy that there's just always a higher priority. You know what I mean? It's not that it's not a priority. It's just there's always something that comes in that's more pressing. I'm sure you deal with that shit all the time. You fucking got all those animals and shit. Got all these plans, but something else pops up instead.
I know.
Do me a favor. Scoot this way. Line your nipples
we
up
did
with these lines. There you go. That's perfect.
I don't like that because I'm not in the center of the table. So
I know it is a little weird at first.
Yeah.
But it's
I
just
think
so
you
we
tell
get
I
the
think you
proper
tell me
distance.
that every single time.
I have to tell everybody because it's not about being in the middle. It's about being the right distance from that camera. Because the closer you get to it, if you do any leaning back, you get cut out of the field of view or whatever. But yeah, dude, like I was saying, I bet you deal with that kind of shit all the fucking time. You still got all those animals up there?
Yes, too many animals.
How many animals you got right now?
Good question. Maybe 50.
Holy fuck! So it's a lot of small.
It's mostly birds. Mostly, I got into birds.
Which God, how do they fucking categorize this shit?
Fowl.
It's not small game. It's like you know what I'm saying? There's like you know, there's like cattle ranching,
livestock.
which is like yeah. There's like yeah, and they God, I'll think of it later. It'll come up later. These I can hear them chatting back there. I'd normally ask them to look it up, but anyways, so you got mostly birds. You got ducks.
Yeah,
I
I kind of got into it by accident because I mean, the older I got, the more I wanted to. Is more interested in like growing a garden, you know, and like self-sustaining stuff. I got into a stint of that. And I got chickens so I could produce my own eggs.
Yeah.
And then I got a couple ducks because ducks are kind of funny and cute. And, you know, after a while, it's like you start to learn the animal husbandry, like how to keep them alive and like how to take care of them and stuff like that. And my brain, I have to know how to do everything. Plus, I love animals, so
right.
I got very good at taking care of them. So then I ended up becoming like this rescue guy. And I used to get tags all the time, like, hey, there's a hurt bird on the road here, you know, so I really got into that. So, but yeah, I have ducks, geese, and pheasants, and chickens.
And how many?
I got a couple goats.
How many of the actual eggs do you eat? Is it just the chickens, or do you eat the duck eggs?
What I would do is I would collect them all, but I would, if I was to make omelets or something, I would mix in different eggs. I didn't like just stick to the chicken eggs.
Do we eat chicken eggs because they taste the best, or is it because they make the most eggs?
Probably because they make the most eggs. Ducks actually, I think, make better eggs.
It's like richer, right?
But yeah, it's fattier, I guess, and but I guess you have to adjust your recipe for if you use duck eggs because they will definitely turn your food different. But ducks don't lay as consistent as where a chicken you can get an egg every day.
Yeah,
and a duck might be every other day or something, you know. So you can't really count on them as much. And I don't think their laying season is as long either.
Oh, okay.
But
I think it's interesting, though, because, like, all that kind of shit used to be associated with, like, left-wing hippies.
yeah.
And now it's like left-wing hippies are associated with like, eating Beyond Burgers and...
You know what's funny is because
Antifa.
I was kind of doing that before anybody else in the music scene, and so I would get a lot of shit for it, you know? And then all of a sudden, all these metalheads and all these guys were making fun of me about it before or saying some shit, and now they all post pictures of them with their chickens and shit. I laugh. They get it now, but...
Were you always one of those dudes, like even going back to like being in school, were you always one of the dudes who's a little bit ahead of the curve of other people, or did this was this your first fucking weird?
I think my brain, I was more. I can't.
Steve, will you grab me
I'm
a
still
beer?
a dumbass, just like a lot of other
you can have one too if
people
you
about
want. You
things.
want a beer?
But I'll take one, yeah. But I think I remember like cracking up my parents and cracking up my grandparents with my humor, because my humor as an 8-year-old was funny because it was adult.
Sure.
It was at adult levels.
I can see that. I can see young Jamal being fucking 13 going on 30.
So
they dying laughing.
they would tell me that I was going to be a comedian, but my age eventually caught up with my humor, and now I'm just not.
And now you're just a dude.
I'm not a funny person. I'm just a normal person now.
Isn't that super weird how, like, yeah, when you're young, you can say certain things because it's cute because you're young.
Yeah,
and it's silly
you don't
and
expect
it's fun.
You don't expect a
But
kid to say
if
something
you
like that.
keep doing that, after a while, if you're not cute, it's not fucking funny, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's so weird how what you look like can dictate whether what you're saying is. You hear this about fat comedians all the time too. They lose a bunch of weight, and then people are like, "You're not funny anymore." What do you think that is? Like, just your appearance can change.
I think it's a part of it is your appearance, but I think it's also the slight changes in your personality or your confidence or your approach might change just a hair. But I think that people who either they were always kind of a heavyset kid and then they become skinny as adults, still think of themselves as fat.
As the fat kid. Sure.
And I was the opposite. I was a scrawny kid. I graduated high school at 115 pounds.
So when you did finally gain weight, like me, you were skinny and fat at the same time.
Yeah. So it's funny because now that I'm still not a large guy, but I'm more closer to the average, or taller than most people. And so
were you like 6'1", 6'2"?
No, I'm 6 foot. But I think when I'm around people, I'm like I'm no longer the smallest guy around. But in my mind, I'm still a twig.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
no, I do know exactly.
I'm not quite used to that idea.
That's so weird.
And here I am about to be 50.
I still feel small. Like I know I'm not small. Like you said, like people even be like, "Oh, you're a tall guy," and I'm like, I would never describe myself as tall. I would describe myself. What did you say, twiggy?
Yeah.
I would describe myself as lanky. I was a lanky kid, just all fucking arms and legs, dude. Stick thin, fucking.
I don't think I was tall as a kid, so I couldn't really say I was lanky.
Well, see, I wasn't necessarily tall as a kid, but my build was still lanky. Even when I wasn't taller than anybody, I was still like all fucking legs and arms. You know what I mean? Isn't that kind of the definition of lanky? Look that up, dude.
Yeah,
Maybe I've been using that wrong.
I think of like an Ichabod Crane type look, like super tall and gangly.
See, I think that's like gaunt and gangly. Yeah, that's
gangly,
a little different.
Yeah,
that's a little different. Words are funny, dude. They're just like Joe Rogan says. It's like they're just sounds we make with our mouths, but like they can
invoke
mean
an
so
image.
much. Yeah, that's what trips me out about Chinese, dude. Like you can say the same thing, but the inflection changes the word. I don't know any fucking. No, not leggy, lanky, like Lanky. Leggy. Everybody knows what leggy means. But yeah, I think it's super lanky. What? It means to invite high school students. Get the fuck out of here. No, get rid of the E. Just Leanky. Jesus Christ, dude. Patience. Oh.
No, I had to have a lot of patience last podcast.
Ungracefully thin and tall. There, I have been using it correctly. Ungracefully thin and tall. Except I was pretty fucking athletic, dude. Like, so I don't know if you use the word ungracefully. Well, I wasn't graceful. So, yeah, fine. Yeah, lanky. I was lanky.
I think I wasn't strong, but I was a little deceptively athletic.
Dude, I was fucking fast, dude.
Well,
fast.
The funny thing is,
I was tough.
So my dad was Air Force, and then my stepfather was Air Force. So I changed schools like every couple of years. And so I'd have to go through, a process of learning a whole bunch of kids' names every time I went to a new school. But the funny thing is they didn't know me, so in gym class, I'd always be picked last, and that's just sucked. But the funny thing is I was always on the winning team all the time. Even if it was just two people on a team, I was still on the winning team.
Did you ever get picked last again, though?
I think so because I was just so small. But with the things,
Okay.
I would still get like a hat trick in like floor hockey and shit. So it's
Sure.
like, I never quite understood it, but
Yeah.
it could have also been my demeanor too at the time. You're a new kid in a new school all the time. You're
You're
not
shy.
You're not
Yeah.
outgoing. You don't know
Yeah.
everybody. You're not hanging around everybody. So you haven't established.
I always got really good grades in school, and ironically, the one thing, and I was really good at sports, like really good at sports. I played baseball, football. I even played basketball a little bit. My mom doesn't remember that because she wasn't really paying attention. You know what I mean? And I learned how to join a free league and forged her signature one time, and then I did it at boarding school, and so it wasn't like it was a big part of my life, but I did in fact do it. I played street hockey on rollerblades with all the hockey players, and then I wrestled with a bunch of the wrestling team. And I was really good at all. I remember being pressured by the fucking wrestling coach to join the wrestling team.
Same here. Yeah.
They loved me, dude.
Well, there was a time when I was like 93 pounds as a sophomore or something, and so the school would be like, "Hey, we have to lose by default every time we compete with these other schools because we don't got somebody that small." So every school was trying to get me to do that. But I just thought the idea of me in a singlet and with my build was just not going to be flattering. So I was more self-conscious about it than anything. But that's one of my biggest regrets. Though I really wish I would have done wrestling at least.
The craziest thing, though, is like I was a good student, I was a good athlete, and I was a good teammate. Like I never had any problems with teammates. I never had any problems from my coaches. Like I was a great teammate. I was always like one of the leaders. You know what I mean? I was starting pitcher. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to explain, but I would get the worst grades in school in gym class for sportsmanship.
Oh, really?
They would dock me, and so I would struggle to get like a B in gym because I was very competitive, right?
Oh.
And they didn't like that, and they would and I just remember like really trying to figure out how to play their game as a child. Because I was very wise as a child. So even as a child, I'm going, okay, I know my personality makes me good at actual sports, but I also know that it's hurting me in gym class. So what game do I have to play mentally with these people, with my personality, to get them to stop fucking my straight A report card with this goddamn fucking C+ in gym?
I didn't
and
have
I could
that problem.
never figure it out. I could never get a good grade in gym class, even though I was like super athletic and did everything, never complained, never had any problems with anybody. But like how I behaved on the court, like I was too intense when I was competing or something, like it just never made any sense. And it was always for sportsmanship. Like, because I was like mad when I lost. I'm like, go fuck yourself. Like even back then I was like, fuck you. Like I'm not a loser. I don't want to be a loser. I'm not okay with losing. It never made sense to me why anybody's like okay with losing. Like, yeah, I'm not going to blow up my life. I'm not going to throw a temper tantrum, but I'm not going to walk off the court laughing and happy that I just lost a fucking basketball game. Like, what are we even talking about right now? I never understood that. And like, I don't know, maybe there's some deep psychology, that manifested later in life, but I always just thought it was like a weird game that I could never
I've always been
out.
competitive at games and stuff like that, but I don't think sports, especially in school, that was a thing for me. But yeah, I didn't have the good report card, so you can ask my folks. But I made C's and D's.
It pissed me off.
I barely passed up until my junior and senior year. Then I made A and B honor roll.
I also did a tail off because I would get burnt out. So first quarter, first trimester, whatever grade I was in, didn't matter. Straight A's, every class, including gym usually. Second quarter, second trimester, it's all B's. And by the end of the year, it's all fucking C's. And if there was a fourth quarter, I was barely passing because I would just get burnt out. And I'm like, fucking, I'm not doing homework. I'm like, fuck this shit, dude. I understand it all. It was always the homework that really fucked me because I would just get burnt out and I just couldn't keep up with it because I had sports and other shit going on. And then I started playing guitar and I'm like, dude, fuck this, dude. I don't need to do this fucking stupid homework. I don't have the energy for it. And I would try so hard and I was just, I can't fucking do it. I just can't get through it, dude. It just sucks.
I just hated school in general.
But I would ace all my tests, And my mom always advocated for me. I'll give her a lot of credit for this because she would always advocate for me. She's like, I don't understand why you're forcing him to do homework if he aces the test. It doesn't make any sense. You're just wasting his time at home when he's got all this other stuff going on. He obviously understands the material. If he aces the test, why are you holding the homework against him? They could never give us a straight answer on that. And that's, again, when I kind of knew, I was like, this is a game we're playing here. And I never mastered it. I never totally figured it out. But, like, it fucking sucked. I hated school, dude.
I absolutely hated
school so much.
And I'm not one of those kids
learning.
that skipped. Like, I know a lot of people that just barely got through school because they skipped, and so they almost didn't graduate. I really never missed school. I think I missed a couple days.
I loved learning, but I hate the school system.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be something I'm interested in, and then I wasn't interested in a whole lot. So
You can make me interested if you're interesting. So, like, good teachers got me interested in science, in history, and whatever you want. That's why I'm interested in so many things, because I had a bunch of awesome teachers throughout my life. But the school system, like, you've heard that fucking, the school system is not here to educate people, it's here to create obedient workers.
correct, yeah.
We've all heard that now. Did that come from Murph? You brought up Zeitgeist a while back. Is that where that's from? The school system is not set up to create creative, intelligent people. It's set up to create obedient workers. Is that where that's originally from? Zeitgeist in like 2004? I thought that's where that was
There's
from.
been thoughts like this for a long time. I think even under Reagan, one of I think the second command of the Department of Education wrote a book called The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America. I think they talked about things like that.
Well, No Kids
even then.
Left Behind was a virtuous idea, Murph. Like that's one of those classic things like communism. Like, it was a great idea, but
You incentivize people getting pushed through the system.
well, not only that, but the only thing it really did was immediately financially incentivized people to game the system. It no longer became what was best for the student. It became what was best for the report that we submit to the government for funding. So that's one of, and it was just a bunch of naive boomers who thought they were doing something good. And I think a lot of government policies are passed that way. I think that's why one of my favorite phrases that you've probably seen me post 1,000 times, whether it's a comment or it's just, sometimes I've just posted this quote. Sometimes it's a quote with an article attached to it. But the road to hell are paved with good intention.
Yep, I say that all the time.
I
too.
say it all the fucking time. Like, I know what you're trying to do here, but I'm telling you, you're bringing us straight to hell. That's a great segue, because that's kind of one of the things I wanted to have you over with, or have you over on with this podcast, was post-election, the absolute insanity that certain people have lost their minds on. And I just don't understand how, like, okay, so my buddy David put up a post, and he's like, I'm just curious, I just want to ask a question. He goes, if you're a woman, I just want to hear how you could vote for Trump. And of course I chimed in, right? Because
you're a woman.
Because I can speak for women. No, but here's the thing is, I said that. I said, obviously I'm not a woman, but I know, and I counted 10 women in my family that I can confidently speak for that they voted for Trump. And then I laid out, here's the reasons why. Because they're vocal about this. Like, the women in my family are not submissive little fucking repressed Christian women. Like, no, the women in my family are a bunch of outspoken bitches. Like, they're a bunch of badass fucking women. They're loud mouths. They don't give a fuck. Fuck you. Here's my opinion. Suck my dick. That's the kind of women they are. They're brutal. They're savages. I mean, look at me. I mean, how could you be me, raised by a bunch of women, and not be raised by savage women?
Sense.
You know what I mean? Shut up. Fuck you. But I'm just saying, if they were normal women, I think I would be a lot more chill. You know what I mean? I'd be a lot more docile. But they were rowdy. And I just explained to him, I was like, you guys, first of all, your simple question is kind of insulting to women. Because first of all, you're assuming all women hate Trump. You're assuming all women think the same.
Mm-hmm.
You're immediately painting a narrative that Trump is XYZ and that all women disagree with that narrative. And it's kind of insulting and a little bit arrogant when you guys keep doing this over and over again. And I pointed out just a bunch of just simple observations and opinions. And a couple women actually chimed in, and they were like, I got a bunch, surprisingly zero hate on that post. Like, it was all like likes and love reactions and shit. And women commenting, and they're like, this is actually exactly the point. Like, I'm a woman, and I am absolutely not down with this crazy abortion shit. Like, I'm way more pro-life than I am pro-choice. The only person that chimed in was another dude who said, yeah, but everything you just said here is a lie. And I'm like, dude, at worst, they're opinions. And the fact that you don't know the difference between an opinion and a lie is fucking alarming, man. And like, this is why we're here right now. This is why you just lost the election. Because he asked a question, I answered it honestly, objectively, and you just said that's a lie. So either you're a liar and you're a fucked up person, or like you don't know the difference, and most people can, and that's why you lost. And so where I'm going with this is what I'm starting to realize, dude, is like, I warned these people for like a year leading up to this election. I was like, I'm considering voting for Trump because you guys are starting to get a little too crazy, even for me. I'm not alone. I wasn't even the first to say these type of things, right? And then as we got closer and closer to the election, I just flat out said it. I was like, you guys have convinced me to vote for Trump. You've gone so fucking crazy to the left. I'm literally just opposing you at this point. Like, if you want me to rejoin your team, stop creating people like me, because you've ostracized me, you've name called, you've done all these horrible things that I'm like, fuck you then. Like, you're no longer the rational adults in the room. And then when Trump won, and I said, we fucking warned you. We flat out laid it out on a silver platter for you. Stop behaving this way. Because I wasn't really even voting for Trump or against Kamala. It wasn't really about policies, because I ironically actually agree with like surprisingly large amount of the things that Biden's doing, right? Because they were extensions of things that Trump was doing.
Me and you can't be friends anymore.
But here's the thing is, like, Biden just extended a lot of the things Trump was doing, right? He really did. So it was really me protesting the vote of my fellow citizens, because I don't believe they're voting for the right person anymore. And I'm just trying to balance this shit out. And no matter how many ways I tried to explain that to them, post-election, they're doubling down. And so I'm realizing, I'm probably exaggerating, but I'm saying this, dude, I think 50% of the left is mentally ill. I really do. Because the way they handled their loss is insane. And I'm talking all the way up to Joy Behar on The View, who says Joe Rogan believes in dragons.
I know, I saw that.
Which is a blatant lie. What he said is he's fascinated about things that obviously aren't real, but people believed are, right? And we know there's flying lizards, right? There's pterodactyls and there's other giant lizards. And you could see how those things morph into things like legends. But she went and she said, I triple checked this. Because she was talking about triple checking sources. So she goes, he believes in dragons. And somebody goes, did you triple check that? And she goes, yes, I did. And these are the people out here influencing elections, and it's dangerous. No, bitch, you're dangerous. And I think you have to be mentally ill or evil to continue down this road. That's my opening rant to this podcast, because it's extremely eye-opening to me, the type of people that I considered friends and the things they have called me and said to me post-election. I'm like, this is a mentally ill person. And so instead of me like, fuck you, condescending them, I'm actually like ironically being way more civil about these things now, because I'm going, oh, I'm not talking to a rational person, so I'm never going to change their mind. Really what's happening is everybody else around us is watching this interaction. I'm representing civility and
That's what I've been telling everybody is
they're rational.
I don't debate people to change their mind. I do it for the people who happen to be watching a conversation play out. And then they'll see that I have the valid points and that I'm sharing information, and these other people are just name calling or using logical fallacies. Yeah. That does way more than just, trying to score a win or dunk on someone. But I think people just operating on bad operating systems. Your ideologies are an operating system, and if you can get it wrong and get it wrong and get it wrong until you realize that what you knew was wrong. Until you realize that, hey, I got to rethink my shit because my logic isn't.
That's principles, right?
For sure, everybody should care enough about it to at least question themselves. I've been wrong enough times, but what I don't understand is why people don't hate being wrong enough to correct it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but with the abortion thing, I think things would be still the same. You would still always have a fight between the left and the right about abortion. But I think what the left did is forced people to take sides. When there are a lot of people on that middle ground who are like, well, I'm fine with an occasional abortion, long as it's within this period of time. There's some kind of limit that they can use to rationalize why they can be for or against something, and that side just would not allow that conversation to happen.
Yeah, we did a whole podcast on this.
Yeah.
In fact, you're the one that changed my official stance on this, which is actually you didn't change my official stance on this. You changed my official understanding of what was actually being debated and argued, because basically what you explained to me, or what we discovered through the podcast, was that the left pretends they're not arguing for 9-month term abortions. They even did this during the presidential
debates. But you couldn't
debates.
get them to say it.
They're literally going, no one's out there having these 9-month abortions. Stop bringing that up. That's not happening. Stop it. It's just stupid. Why are you bringing that rhetoric over and over and over again? But anytime you go, okay, so when should we cut off abortions?
Then they didn't want to have the conversation.
They will just absolutely dodge that question. I never really realized that it was that simple of a problem, right? Like, just define it. Let's just agree when a fetus becomes a life and cut it off there. And then we can debate about the exceptions, which almost every rational person agrees with: rape, incest, threat to the mother's life, or long-term quality life to the, we find out for listeners, because we're going really fast, because I think we're both trying to kind of truncate some of the stuff we've already talked about. But for the listeners that are kind of confused, what I'm referring to is, like, sometimes a kid will be born with like a weird disease, and it's like, this kid's not going to live past 1.5 years, and if it does, it's going to be miserable and in pain, blah, 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 blah. And you don't discover that until the kid's 7 months, and you realize the fingers haven't developed, or whatever the fuck. I'm making shit up, but it's very rare, but it does happen. Let's just write that down. Like, let's just define that. It's super reasonable, right? But the left won't. That's the point. Is they want nope. Anything goes, and it's just like, it's such a hard sell, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, I know one of the podcasts we did went over some of the arguments that they make, and they both sides have some bad arguments, but it's not reasonable to sit there and try to trick someone into being pro-choice. Like, oh, what about rape? Well, if rape is 1%, cool. Like, let's make an exception for just rape. That's not what they want, though. But yet they keep saying, well, what about rape? You know what I mean? Because they're trying to trick you into make an exception, because once they can get their foot in the door, somehow they think they can convince you that you need to be pro-choice somehow, because you're a hypocrite, because you believe in some cases it's okay, but not others.
I think what changed a lot of people's minds, too, wasn't just the abortion side of that argument. It was the IVF thing. Because I know that triggered me and my wife a little bit, because we're going through the fertility study, right? So IVF is on the table. I'm not saying we're doing it, but, like, it's an option. We might be doing it.
What's the IVF? Well, I mean, what's the drama with the IVF part?
What the Democrats were falsely accusing is that Donald Trump and Mike Pence want to abolish IVF along with abortion. Basically, anything Planned Parenthood has ever done, they want to get rid of.
For some reason, I've never seen that. I mean, I've seen them say something like that, but I've never seen that side be against that. Maybe maybe government funding of that.
No,
I could see, but not.
It's a flat out fabrication. And Kate and I went and did a bunch of research on this, because it was one of those things where we're like, we're trying to have a baby. If this is going to be an option that we need to explore in 2025. We don't want to elect a guy who's going to literally pull one of our baby options. Like, that's just fucked up, right? So we did a bunch of research, and it was just a complete 100% fabrication. So
I don't even know where that would come from.
We were just on that thing where it was like, this is one of the many things you can add to a long list of just flat out lies you guys made up about these people. And so it was just harder and harder, not saying that anybody was really ever going to vote for Kamala in our house, but like, it became harder and harder to even rationalize it when the more we researched the accusations, the more obvious it was false. And I don't know if it started with Tim Walz, but I do remember Tim Walz being the main one that we heard, because that hit home with us, because that's like our governor making shit up, you know.
I do not.
We took a lot of personal
I don't want to
offense to
acknowledge
Tim
that.
Walz. We took a lot of personal offense to Tim Walz running for governor. Like when he went and ran his fucking mouth about the riots and about, dude,
And his
because
wife.
we live in Minneapolis. Like, we're here. We were here for the riots. They happened in our neighborhoods. Not the original riots, but where the riots came to. Because they burned that motherfucker down right away, and then they had to keep rioting somewhere else. So eventually it made it everywhere, including over here. And yeah, dude, like, we were the Never Walls people. Like, I'm not saying we started that, but we were in that camp for sure. Like, this guy cannot be given institutional power above any station that he's already gotten. Like, and his political career, thank God, will be over now.
I think so.
Like, he will not win another election in any office. Like, he is done. Thank God. Same thing with Kamala Harris. She's done.
She's all but disappeared. I haven't seen nothing on her. I mean, it's back to how it was before the election. But
Oh, yeah, I misunderstood you. Yeah. I see what you're saying. I thought you meant, like, I don't know why I misunderstood that, but yeah, I thought you meant, like, oh, she's not giving up. She's still running her mouth.
oh no.
No.
She's
gone.
absent. She's gone.
Have you seen those videos online of people are like, damn, man, you couldn't even give her a week because it was like the day after the election. People were painting over like murals on the sides of buildings. Dude, here's why. She paid for that.
I bet you
that
she
wasn't
did.
organic.
Yep.
That's why they're painting over it, dude. It's not because she lost. It's because she paid for it. Oh my God, dude. She wasted $1 billion in basically, look, how long was Kamala's campaign official for, you guys?
137 days.
137
I
days?
think. 107 days.
107 days. So basically 90. I mean, it's not. It's 2 weeks longer than 3 months. I get it. But $1 billion in just over 3 months. That motherfucker didn't even need to look that up. He yelled that shit from the other room. 107 days!
I'm impressed that they raised that much amount of money, but then again,
but I'm impressed they blew that much money. And dude, did you hear they finished $20 million in debt? $20 million in debt. Did you see Donald Trump's fucking his tweet? Pull this up, dude. Donald Trump's tweet saying he's going to pay off her debt.
Oh,
Did
I didn't
you see
that,
this?
No.
I hope this is real because I saw this. I think I saw it on Instagram where people do the screenshots. But he said she finished $20 million in debt. It's public information. But he's like, we're going to pay that for her because it's not a good look for the country or something like that. And he's talking about, like, because we need unity, the new unity party. It's going to be interesting, man, because I'm super nervous about him again just because it's him, right? I'm super nervous about some of the cabinet positions. I am very surprised that the Democrats who fought a hard and valiant effort in the 2020 presidential election, raising a record amount of money, didn't have lots of monies left over. Now they are being squeezed by vendors and others. Whatever we can do to help them during this difficult period, I would strongly recommend we, as a party, and for the sake of desperately needed unity, do. We have a lot of money left over, and our biggest asset in the campaign was earned media, and that doesn't cost very much. Make America great again. Dude, he's such a troll, dude. Oh, he's so funny, man. My favorite still to this day, two favorite comments he ever made. And I should have just given in back then on how funny he is. Because there's two of them. They were like, what would you do about ... And he's like, oh, I'd bomb the shit out of them, dude. I died laughing on that one. And then the other one, he's like, and then this reporter over here, he's like, oh, I don't remember. Dude, those still to this day make me die laughing anytime I see those clips, man. That motherfucker is funny, dude. I'm not saying he's a good person. I'm not saying I like him. I did vote for him. But
I worry about some of his picks too, because I think that was his ultimate downfall from the first election.
Yeah.
The deep state, for lack of a better word or term, wants to keep those wars going, and I think that they would Vietnamese would try to definitely fight every single one of his picks if
Hold
they
on.
could.
What was that? Let's get into this. This is a great thing. Amanda asks, I thought they brought it up because of something in Project 2025.
Yeah.
Okay, what is she saying that she thought they brought it up?
The
What is she referring
IVF
to?
probably.
Oh.
And that could be, but that was a Heritage Foundation thing and not a Trump thing.
Yeah.
That they tried to pin to him.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another great example where it was like, I did a lot of fucking research on that Project 2025 thing. That is one of the most lunatic, fanatic things I've ever read in my life.
I tried to read some of
There's
it.
a bunch of practical shit in there.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's like there's a bunch of weird lunatic shit in there where it's like so obvious
Some
that somebody
fundamentalist
else
shit.
got in there, amended it, put his name on it, and basically sabotaged the whole thing. You know what I mean? It's like you can have a bunch of cool shit. You put one fucking stick of dynamite in there, and now the whole thing's a bomb. You know what I mean?
I don't even have an issue with the left pointing at Project 2025 and saying this is.
I just don't think it's really.
This
a
is
Trump
some
thing.
stupid ass conservatives. I totally understand that, but they needed to nail that to Trump, and I don't think
there is
and there
anything
wasn't
that-
a connection there. No.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. I did a
'Cause
bunch of research on that, and it doesn't seem like
All
this-
it is a conservative group that wants to try to mold conservatives into a
wrote
certain
it?
view.
Yeah, but there's a guy, there's like a senator, somebody who is close to Trump, and he's like, yep, Trump approved it, and basically they're taking this one dude's fucking word, and there's, even though Trump is on record multiple times being like, no, I'm not down with that. It's weird. I've heard him on record. Kevin Roberts, president of the Heritage Foundation. Now, is he like a senator or something? Or like a representative?
Think so. But the thing is that's you're going to have groups on the left and the right that are going to try to do that. They're going to try to say, "Hey, we need to come up with a platform and try to get our party unified on this platform." So you're going to have these heritage foundations doing that kind of stuff because they want their conservative values,
right?
All in a row, and that can be very useful, but. I kind of almost feel like it backfired on the left a little bit because it kept trying to pin it on Trump.
Well, and again, when people like me read it, there was enough crazy shit in there where it was like, this is not real.
It seemed fake to me.
Like even if the
some
bulk
of it seemed, bulk of it seemed like normal. Okay, I can see normal conservatives supporting this, but
that's what I'm getting at. Like even if the bulk of it seems like shit that, like you could take 6 or 7 of the things, ask any Republican if they agree. Do you agree with this? And they'd be like, well, yeah, of course. And they'd be like, see, he agrees with Project 2025. That's what I'm getting at.
Yep.
And you could do that with a bunch of shit in there. And then as long as you don't ever ask them these like 7 insane things that are in there, they'll never disavow it because they didn't fucking read it because it's not real. And then if you did ask them, well, what about this? They'd be like, well, of course not. That's insane. Then they just don't highlight that. That's what I'm getting at. This is the shit that lost them the election.
I also think it's insane that they want to trim,
what is this? Oh, this is his bio?
Yep.
Okay, just scroll up. Yeah, okay. So he's just an activist, basically? Is that what we're figuring out here? Scroll up a little bit. Yeah, so
it doesn't even look like he was in politics.
He's part of the Republican Party, but yeah, he ain't shit. He's
or
just some
government,
random dude. He's a what do they call this?
Expansive plan to reshape the United States government.
I think they call this an NGO, a non-government organization. Correct. Which these guys are fucking shady, man.
But I mean, with the left trying to pin that on him, like he's some kind of conservative, like Donald Trump is some typical conservative fundamentalist.
He's really not.
He's not anywhere near that.
He's really not.
Yeah, I mean, he is nothing like that. I mean, look, he surrounded himself with Democrats. He himself used to be a Democrat. He doesn't have these conservative. I mean, he's got some of the things that he agrees with on the Republicans, but I can't. I still don't see him as your standard.
He is
front
a
of the mill.
Democrat from 30 years ago. Like, if you take Bill Clinton from
or
1994.
Hillary Clinton from 2008.
If you literally just take Bill Clinton from 1994, not his personality, but his policies, that is basically, well, no, that's not accurate. No, I'm wrong, because he's too not isolationist, but this whole America First thing, it's often construed as isolationist. It's not. It's just, like, the tariff is a great segue for this, right? So, like, this is what I mean when I say I agree with a lot of the stuff Biden did, because he just continued the shit that Trump did. The tariffs is a perfect example of that. And people don't understand. They go, well, tariffs raise the cost of goods. That hurts normal Americans. Yeah, that's the fucking point. The point is to bring the cost of Chinese goods up to a point that allows American companies to be competitive in the marketplace, which means more American jobs, which means better American wages, because the only reason this shit's so cheap in China is because of fucking slave labor, you guys. So the tariffs are there to de-incentivize them to do business that way, because if you're going to do business that way, it's harder for you to get into our country.
I just think it's funny that the left is now all of a sudden concerned of extra costs of doing business coming down to the consumers when
over slave wages.
Everything they've ever done raises the cost of products,
right,
and is passed on to the consumer. So it's convenient. I'm glad that at least they can see that now, and maybe they will apply that logic on every other policy.
They won't.
But yeah, they won't, because they're, like I said, their operating system is broken.
I don't know if it was you or somebody else, but it was somebody on this podcast who brought this up way back in the day, where he's like, I think both parties have actually switched. And this was like back in 2020 when I first launched the podcast. And I didn't see it then, but they're right. The fucking Democrats are for big business, big corporations, censorship, fucking wars, right? These are all things the Democrats used to be against. Like, the Democrats back in the day would have never, ever made the argument, it's better for Americans to accept goods made by slaves in China than it is to raise the cost of those imported goods, because it's bad for business. That's an old school Republican thing to do. That's an argument that the boomer Republicans made in the fucking 2000s, bro. Like, that's an insane. He was right. I don't remember who the fuck it was. Jason, you're doing old fucking deep dives from the old podcast. When you finally come across that one, fucking tell me, dude. Make a clip of that.
All their positions.
Whoever was the first guy way back in the day who came on this podcast, because he was the first one to say it, he goes, I think the parties have actually flipped. I think the Democrats are now the Republicans and the Republicans are the Democrats. And he was basically getting at what I just explained. So when you stumble across that, clip that and send that to me, because that dude deserves all the fucking credit, because he was the first one to see it. Nobody else was talking that rhetoric back then. Because he's right. He's right. He's right. Whoever used to run the Republican Party now runs the Democratic Party. The deep state, the corporate interests behind the scenes.
I think that's a product of getting the control, because when you're the little guy, freedom of speech really, really matters, because that's the only way you're going to obtain your power and protect your rights against the oppressive. But once you're on top, now you got to get rid of those pesky rules, so that you can maintain your. And this is not just a left thing. It's not just a right thing. This is how power works.
It's whoever is in power.
You leverage whatever you can to get to the top, and then you pull the ladder up. So
what is this?
Oh yeah.
Oh, about how they probably just pay one side and then pay the other side and then pay the other side, or what are we looking at here? Because we know they used to do this with the Republicans. That's what I'm getting at. Okay, so that's somebody so Penny Pritzker, part of the family that owns the Hyatt hotel chain, became President Obama's Commerce Secretary in 2013. So can I assume here, because I haven't read this article and I don't want to get too far off topic, can I assume what this article is alluding to is that they used to support Republicans and then they switched? Correct. Okay. Okay, we need to get you a mic back there, because you could have just said that for us. Because some of these things that you're well versed on like that, just tell me, and then throw the reference on there like you just did, and then the viewers can go look that up on their own.
There's still advantages.
Because I'll trust 20 for the listeners that didn't hear him, because you and I heard him. He said 25 of the 26 people, what was it, that used to donate to the Republicans now donate to the Democrats? Correct. 25 of the 26 richest? Yeah. So basically 25 out of the 26 richest people flipped sides, which I found interesting this year, to kind of put a bow on this side of it, and we can pivot into the next thing, is these Democrats are running around talking about the working class, this, that, and the other thing, but all the billionaires outside of Elon Musk support the Democrats. Like, wait a minute. If you're a billionaire,
I was just about to say this.
Why would you support the party?
Because there's more to there's another dynamic that people don't understand, is that in our system, this crony capitalist system, you use government to hurt your competitors. So there's an incentive for restrictions, and like everybody thinks that these rich people just pay politicians so that they can get past, all these rules that they got to abide by. But a lot of them are the ones lobbying for them. So
which means they already have, like, street smarts will tell you this. This is not Jared being a legal scholar. This is Jared being a fucking common sense person who knows how people will game any system given to them.
Cartels don't want legalized drugs.
They've already figured out a loophole, though. You're saying they buy the government, they use the government to pass these. And the reason is because they already have a loophole figured out. So as soon as this regulation goes into place, they have a workaround and you don't, and they leave you in the dust.
And so they can either get an exemption, or they get a license to be able to bypass them.
Or they're just grandfathered in.
Yeah, or they're grandfathered
so that
in.
just eliminates any new competitors going forward. Yep.
Or they're rich enough that they can afford that fines, restriction when their competitors can't.
Yep. The carbon tax, that's a big one for that shit. Like, let's institute a carbon tax, because literally Amazon's the only one who can afford that, and then literally no other company can ever afford to do a delivery service ever again. Everything is done through Amazon now. By you institute it, because the road to hell is paved with good intentions. By you institute, this is a literal example, because this is how it will happen for anybody who cares to pay attention. This is literally what will happen. You institute the carbon tax. Now, Amazon is the only company big enough to be able to afford to share that burden, and they just bought the world. It eliminates UPS. It eliminates DoorDash. It eliminates fucking Uber Eats. It eliminates everything. Suddenly, we're living in Demolition Man, and Taco Bell is the only restaurant. You know what I mean? Like that's the literal analogy of how that happens. And you're right. And to me, that's super obvious. Like, it's super obvious. Like, it's staring me in the face, and they're laughing about it.
We've known this for decades, but yet you'll find these, surface level thinkers that think,
or the young people,
that's still surface level stuff. At that age, you don't have that wealth of knowledge to draw from and draw these conclusions.
Well,
you don't know how the world works.
I think it's more not surface level. I think it's a lack of wisdom, and I think it's being easily emotionally manipulated. And it goes back to that cliche: if you're not a liberal in your 20s, you don't have a heart. If you're still a liberal by your 40s, you're an idiot, or you don't have a brain, or whatever the fuck it was. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's more that than it is surface level thinkers. Because surface level thinkers are the 40-year-olds who haven't I've beef with these guys online.
I don't know if it's an age thing. It's to me, it's more of a I can't think deeper right now. Like, I think everybody has the capability to learn just what we said and understand it.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
That's to me, like, you stop thinking and you just take everything at face value, and you never dig deeper and to understand there's more nuance to all these things.
Well, and that's one of my issues with a lot of the people that I'm beefing with online. It's not even that I'm beefing with them. It's really them beefing with me, because their takes are the same exact opinions and takes I had in high school. They're 40 and 50 years old. And it's like, yo, I know and they're like, you don't get it. And I'm like, no, I actually totally get it, because I started in your position.
To think like you, yes.
Yep, I started in your position, but then with age and experience and wisdom and more knowledge of history, and Dude, it's just like that. It's just not that simple, you know. Like people still ask me, "What do you think of what's going on in Gaza?" I go, "Dude, it's fucking war," and they're like, "Yeah, but there's war crimes." I'm like, "Dude, there's always war crimes. Like there are no good guys in war. It's all hell. Like, and you can't." People go, "Well, then we should cut off funding to Israel." Dude, that's extortion. Like we have an agreement, right? They have the right to defend themselves. Those two things are mutually exclusive. When this war is over, the people who perpetuated the war crimes will be put on trial by the UN. They will be held accountable, and Israel will be forced to pay reparations. That's how it fucking works now. You have to honor the process. You see what I'm saying?
My issue is
nobody's making this argument. That is a true Jared original take on it, but I believe it's the ethical, like wise. Like, no, if I'm the president, this is because, dude, we can't go around extorting countries if you don't do what we want on our whim because our people don't like what your people like. Like, dude, that's extortion. Like, no one would ever be our ally again if the whims of people in Chicago get to dictate what's happening on the fucking political policies of another country 4,000 miles away. Am I the only one that thinks that's an insane proposition?
We should be worried about
Talk
shit
me
here,
off the
though.
ledge if I'm being crazy right now, Jamal.
No, I agree with you. But then, I mean, it's. I don't think our minds are wired to. We should be worried about shit that is thousands of miles away.
But we fund them, so we have to.
Right. But that's part of it. Like we shouldn't because our minds shouldn't be on all that stuff. You know, I think we're wired to be. Pay attention and like the gossiping and the knowing who's doing what and blah blah blah. I think, but that on a small scale level is what we are really set up to be. But now that the internet's made the world so much smaller, now we worry about all these other things, and you're going to have people overreact about this. As far as the Gaza and the Israel thing, like I refuse to take a side on this issue because I honestly think that it is again another more nuanced conversation. I don't think that either side is a good guys.
There are no good guys in war.
No, but I
like
will.
If there are good guys in war, those guys lose the war. Like good guys lose war.
But I don't.
Just so you guys know, for the listeners that know, there are no good guys in war because, again, cliches. I love cliches because they were invented for a reason. All is fair in love and war. I know that's from a stupid fucking fictional book, but it's true. If you really love somebody, technically, to get that person, everything's fair. Right? If it's real love. And in war, if it's like, if we don't do this fucked up thing, we're all going to die. Dude, we're doing the fucked up thing, dude. Because otherwise we all die, bro.
I just think it's a fucked up scenario that can't be solved, at least.
That's war.
Easily, because if you think about it, even from, when Hamas attacked, it started this by, obviously it goes back decades, but on October was October 7th. Yes.
This latest conflict.
They killed innocent people. What do you expect people to do?
Non-Israelis. They killed tourists, dude.
They killed all kinds of people. That's besides the point.
They killed civilians.
They did wrong.
Well, my point is they didn't make an attack on the government. They attacked civilians. They attacked non-Israeli civilians. They attacked tourists. Like, that is not a valid... Because people tried to justify it.
But wasn't there some Israelis there too?
Yeah, but that's not my point. My point is people are trying to justify it, and they're going, anything's okay in when you're trying to fight oppression, and it's like, no, dude. So you're saying if I'm Native American and I believe that the American government is suppressing my tribe, that I can go to a fucking music festival in Duluth and kill a bunch of Canadians and a bunch of British people and a bunch of Chinese people and a bunch of fucking African people because it happens to be an EDM festival that the world loves to go to. I'm making this festival up. This doesn't exist, but it's a great hypothetical. And because I killed all these people from other countries and a few Americans, all civilians, that somehow that's fighting oppression?
I don't believe that it is.
Get the fuck out of here, dude. That's terrorism.
And because I'm logically consistent, it's the same logic that I have with burning down your city when you're mad at the government. Like, if you're mad at the police, you're mad at the government, you're mad at that's what you, if you really want to fight, that's what you go after. You don't go after your neighbor. You don't go after your town. You go after who's actually oppressing you in your mind,
That's why when the fucking 3rd precinct or whatever burnt down, I was like, hey, man, y'all killed that dude. Like, I don't feel bad. Like, because I also think I'm one of the only people that actually truly, me and like 3 or 4 other dudes I personally know, I feel like either we made up the definition of defunding the police or we're the only ones who ever understood the actual argument being made there. Which, again, just to make it quick, but to keep everybody on the same page, what we were arguing was that if a cop kills a citizen and everybody agrees he should go to jail and leave the force, the problem is the union has so much power that they can force that cop back into service against the will of the mayor, against the people, against even the chief of police, because it's the union. And the union has acquired an irrational amount of power. So the only way to circumvent that power, because people don't realize the Minneapolis City Police, it's a private company that has been hired by the city. So the idea was is we cut your paycheck. We stop funding you, and we give that money to the sheriff's department, where we don't seem to have as many of these problems. And they can use their protocol to expand their police force. And we will have more Hennepin County police force. We will have more Ramsey County police force. We'll have less city police. That was the actual idea. Well, I don't want to get into qualified immunity. That's a whole different thing. But that's not a whole different thing. That's kind of what I'm getting towards, is like the union would use qualified immunity and a bunch of other reasons to get them back on the force. But what I'm getting at is, like, when the citizens burned down the 3rd precinct, I'm like, that's a justifiable protest. Because even though technically that's a private building by a private company, that's the government.
Well,
as soon as they turned on the AutoZone and the Target,
yes. Well,
I was live streaming.
I just want to say that I don't support attacks on police or the government or whatever. But I think that if you're going to do those things, you go at the direct. Like, let's say you hurt my family,
Which they did, though.
My issue
That's what
should
I'm
be
getting
with
at.
you, not your family. You
Right.
always go back to the direct
Well,
source of conflict.
we're not going to lynch people in public, though.
Right.
Right. And that's the thing, is none of these people murdered any cops. They burned down the castle that they fucking oppressed these people in. This is why I was like, right now, this is a super justifiable level of violence, right? Especially in retrospect, I'm like, still, I can justify, because my logic is consistent, my principles are consistent. That's you fighting your oppressive government. And the government needed to take the fucking hint that the people were over this shit. It was as soon as they started attacking civilian infrastructure, I was like, now you've lost all credibility. You went from me, like, not only having your back to being like, nope, you're the bad guy now. It was that fucking quick, because it was like, it wasn't about a message or power or fighting oppression. It was about chaos and destruction. Motherfuckers were like, we can get some free shit. The cops ain't doing nothing. And it spread through the city like a wildfire, dude. It was madness. It was absolute insanity.
Yeah, I do still feel very bad about the Palestinians, though, because some of them are in a shitty situation, and there's been funding. We've funded Hamas. Israel's funded Hamas. There's all kinds of other things that go to perpetuate the current situation, and so I won't take a side on either side of this stuff. And
even as a Jew, I don't take a side, really. I just keep telling everybody there's no good guys in war. Like, technically, I say we have to keep backing Israel, because it's just Israel is the ally, and you don't turn your back on an ally mid-conflict. It sets such a bad precedence for you not keeping your word going forward, because we don't just shake hands with these countries and do shit. We sign documents.
But
like we
also have to keep our allies in check then too, because
but we have a process for that. Like, because they are a sovereign nation, they are not our what's the word for it? It's like it's a formal word for puppet, not suzerain.
Proxy, like
it's not suzerain,
surrogate.
but surrogate.
Yeah.
No, it's not surrogate. It's but very close to that. They're not our suzerain. They're
or
not
satellite. Yeah, it's not a satellite state.
Fuck, I can't think of the word. I will think of this word, but they're not our puppet, right? They're a sovereign nation, and they get to but
I agree.
here's the point: we will hold them accountable and it'll be the officers in the court, it'll be the political officials, it'll be
You have more
the
faith in the system than I do.
The UN has proven to be pretty good with this stuff, except for when it came down to the US post Iraq. Trust me, I know for a fact that somebody will be held accountable for some of these war crimes.
I'll have to look into that, because there's been a lot of stuff like the Ugandan genocides and child soldiers and stuff like that. And there's a lot of stuff that's gone on, even though the UN.
Yeah, but those weren't NATO countries.
Oh, yeah, but we're talking about UN, though. So you just said UN. But as far as...
Oh, you're right. I think I'm conflating the two, bro. I think I'm conflating the UN and NATO.
But even so, the UN should still be, that whole idea of keeping us all kind of in line. But...
Well, we are the UN. We are NATO. I know that's not literally true, but it's basically true. If we pulled out of either one of them, they would both collapse within... count. You know what I mean? It's just flip the hourglass, because it's a...
And I can't... And I don't think there's any metrics to prove that those things have been helpful either. Because...
You don't think so?
Maybe for some people... You're just shifting who's getting attacked and who's not getting attacked. Sure, maybe some of these European countries are safer because NATO exists. But are they? Because now, here we are with Ukraine. Ukraine's not a member of NATO, but all that shit, World War III could spill into Europe real easy and really fast.
It's a great question. Yeah, I never really thought about it like that, because I always just kind of felt like NATO kind of helped keep the Cold War cold.
How many wars has there been since the United Nations was formed? We've been at somebody's been at perpetual war. There's been so many wars since the United Nations found. So then you're like,
but that wasn't the point. The point of the UN and NATO was to prevent a second global or a third global conflict. It was a reaction to the League of Nations, which failed after the First World War. So it wasn't really the point of ending war. It was preventing one country from trying to take over the world.
That's impossible. I mean, because eventually...
Well, so far it's technically worked.
Well, how many years?
We don't run China. We don't run Russia.
It's
right?
still been a lifetime. You know what I mean? One human lifetime. So if it's...
That's true.
You're right. If it's pushed it back 60 years, well, maybe you can call that a success. But
it's definitely a success if you measure the time between World War I and World War II.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? Because we were headed for a smack bottom as a planet, bro. We were not headed in the right direction. But you might be right, because it could have just been the nukes. The nukes might have just pressed pause for a long time.
I think
it might have not had anything to do with the UN. You might be right, dude. You know what? I never thought about that, man. That's super.
I think you're right.
Classic Jamal.
You're right about the nuke thing,
super
because
wise.
That is been one of the bigger deterrents from all-out war. Mutually assured destruction.
Well, it's the same thing as an armed society is a polite society,
correct,
right?
Yep. And see, this is why. I feel bad about these countries that want nukes. Everybody thinks they want nukes because they're going to use them. It's like they are surrounded by their enemies. You know what I mean? Like Americans, we surround so many.
Say
of
that
these
again.
countries.
Back up. Say that one more time.
Let me think. What was I saying?
What country did you just refer to?
Any of them. Iran. We're trying to keep Iran from getting a nuke because we think, they're just going to use it. Like they're just some kind of crazy Middle Eastern.
No, it's a deterrent.
It's a deterrent.
It's called the nuclear deterrent.
Why don't you go and look and ask Iran why they put
grab me a beer, please?
why they put their countries in the middle of all our military bases? They're surrounded.
You nailed it. The reason these countries want nukes is because once they have a nuke, America loses 100% of their leverage to just do an all-out invasion.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you don't have a nuke, you are at the whims of another country dictating what's going to happen to your nation or not.
And I forget if it was Lieutenant General Wesley Clark that he had got that famous YouTube clip where he had talked with Cheney and some other.
See if you can pull this up while he's
Cheney assistant, where he listed all the countries that were on our list. So
Iran was on that list. Right?
Iran was on that list. Syria was on that list. Libya was on that list.
And we've checked off every single one.
Somalia, I think, was on that list.
We've checked off every one except Iran so far.
Yep. Well, and Syria wasn't a complete success.
No, but we checked it off.
But we tried, and so when you're
and what I mean, you're right though. Let me explain. What I mean by checked it off the list was we've had a conflict in these areas, meaning we've tried to topple their government.
Yep.
So, and the point is, Why would you do this, Jared? Well, here's the idea. Here's what the CIA thinks. And why do I know this is what they think? Because this is what I would do if I were in control. And trust me, this is what I would do. If they get nukes, we need to make sure they're our friends and not our enemies. It's that simple. I swear to God, it's that. I swear to God, it's literally that simple. So what we're going to do is we know that it's inevitable that their scientists are going to figure this out. And it's way more unethical, believe it or not, to go in and start assassinating people just for being smart.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, press pause on that.
And that has happened.
It's way more unethical, though, to start going in and start assassinating scientists because they're smart than it is to assassinate or overthrow one leader or one regime and try to recruit. Sometimes it works. And actually, a lot of times it works.
There has been a campaign of assassinating scientists. Yeah.
But that works less.
Ask
What works way more is just overthrowing the government or assassinating the leader and installing a puppet. And then once you get that puppet in there, you kind of let them do their own thing, right? Because we're not talking about Israel. We're not talking about bona fide sovereign nations. We're talking about they're going to get nukes. And what we need to do, because we know that they're not going to become a democracy, right? So I'm talking about Iran. I'm talking about Iraq. I'm talking about all these, whether it's fucking India or Pakistan, failed or succeeded. What I'm talking about is the idea like we got to overthrow this government because when they get nukes, we got to hope they're on our side. And as crazy simple as that sounds, it literally is that simple. And so that's why this list and this speech that these guys are referring to that we're going to play here in a minute. Did you find it, Jason? Okay. So the speech that we're going to play, what I'm referring to when I say we checked him off the list is not success or failure checked him off. What I mean is this prediction came true. We've done this shit, and we've had a conflict in every single one of these nations, whether it's direct, whether it's by proxy, whether it's by CIA. We've had some version of a conflict in every single one of these nations except Iran, which a lot of people have said that's what the Israel-Palestine shit is really about, is to justify an escalation to get us in there so we can actually finally put the boots
linked.
to Iran.
I think it's linked. I don't know if it's that exact thing, but I think it's definitely linked.
And some people say it goes the other way, too. Some people say that's Russia's ultimate thing. Like, Russia wants this part of Ukraine, but what they're really trying to do is escalate so they can get into and officially establish Iran as a nuclear power, because once they help them get nuclear power, then they can help take over the Middle East, and then that'll prevent the U.S. from having the petrodollar, basically, which is the Saudi Arabian thing. I mean, we're speed running years of political shit here because we could spend 3 hours on the petrodollar. But that's why I love having you on so much, is that we can kind of like speed run some shit and then slow down and discuss this one thing. Which I'm gonna piss while we play this clip. Play this clip, and then I'm gonna piss, and then I want you to piggyback this clip. Make sure we can see it up here too. Murph, teach him your little tricky trick.
Oh, he think he's got it here.
Oh shit, this is fucking cool. These guys are doing some shit that I don't even know how to do anymore. Cool. Make it go full screen. Yeah, I'm going to piss.
And Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz, I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me, and one of the generals called me in. He said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, He said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said,
Right here.
this is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran.
Now, we've hit 100%
I
of
said,
those
"Is it
except for Iran,
classified?"
right?
He
Am
said,
I right?
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure
said-
about Sudan, but I'm
I
sure
said, well,
we've.
don't show it
No,
to me.
because we when
And I
did when
saw
did
him
this get
a year
played?
or so ago, and I
This
said, you remember that? He
was-
said,
I for-
sir, I didn't show
This
you
is
that
only
memo.
5
I
years
didn't
ago?
show it to
No.
you."
But when is the memo
I'm
he's
sorry,
referring
what did
to?
you say
This
his
video
name
got
was?
posted
That
5
was
years ago.
before
Hold on,
the
hold on.
Iraq
Press
invasion.
pause. Press pause. Okay, here's the point. He's saying this video got uploaded 5 years ago.
No. it's
I'm
older.
asking when this video was made, but I'm also asking when is the memo he referenced because Bill Clinton
I just
bombed Sudan.
I just that memo was before we even went into Iraq
Right.
after 9/11.
Right, but fine, but is that memo still from 1991? Because in 1994, I believe, while Bill Clinton was in office, we were bombing Sudan.
Sure, but this memo itself is only from 2001 or from 9/11. Yeah, 2001.
So maybe we weren't satisfied with what happened in Sudan then, and we were going back because we were involved in
I
a
think they're the
conflict in Sudan
reasons
during
why they're
Clinton.
on our list to begin with. But again,
Because I remember there was a Jason, pull this up. There was a controversy with Clinton. There was a controversy with Clinton bombing an aspirin factory in Sudan, and I believe it was in 1994. Just Clinton bombs Sudan, or Clinton bombs aspirin factory, something like that. Aspirin factory, Sudan, something like that.
but obviously they didn't get to all those countries within 5 years. But that
not within 5, but yeah.
those countries are on the list, and it just
What's
goes
interesting
to
is
show
Afghanistan
you
wasn't on that list.
they were already in Afghanistan at the time this was going
you're
on.
Right. Okay.
So this just
So
goes
again,
to show
so
that
they were
plan all
referencing
this stuff out.
countries. They were referencing countries they hadn't accomplished
That
their
they were
agenda
going to topple the regimes or
right of their agenda. So the fact that Sudan is on there is irrelevant to the Bill Clinton shit.
Yep.
They're talking about future plans
Yep.
for future regime changes, basically.
Correct. Yep.
Because there's multiple ways we do regime changes. You know, we did it in Ukraine where the CIA helped them go in and over. And honestly, here's the thing: is I'm super not with the Republicans on this. What I believe is that they were a puppet state, just like Belarus, of the Russian government, and the people were fucking fed up, and they were done with it. And our CIA smelled the blood in the water and said, if we're going to fucking watch this happen, let's see if we can flip them and get them to officially join our side. Because if we don't, Ukraine could end up in a failed state, like a really bad
But
way.
see, I think
because it was going to happen
I
regardless.
think that's a generous take. I'm not saying it's wrong.
It was going to happen regardless.
I'm saying that's giving the CIA a generous take because honestly, they
yeah, okay.
they like
Yep,
to foment
right.
that.
It was 98, but yeah, okay.
They like to foment.
Thank you.
They like to foment that stuff though and create the animosity first. The CIA's tactics. If you look at what they did under Operation Ajax in Iran in 1953,
Pull
they
this
did
up,
the same,
Operation guys. Pull this up, Operation Ajax, 1953.
They created the riots and the protests
Where is this?
in Iran in 1953. Operation Ajax under Kermit Roosevelt.
So yeah, I know that we're good at fomenting it, but it doesn't mean that it's not already there to begin with.
Correct, but that's
So
we're splitting
this
hairs.
isn't the coup. Yeah, this is basically when, because they used to be super liberal, right? Well, not super liberal, but like women wore pants and like fucking.
Yeah, no, they were more progressive than what you or they were today. That's for sure.
Yeah. Okay, I remember this. I didn't know this was Operation Ajax though.
Yep.
Good knowledge.
Yep, that's CIA, and the CIA did all kinds of crazy
So,
things.
but they were already getting frustrated with what was going on. But the question is like, if they were more aligned with America then, as far as like our day-to-day values, like I said,
Maybe.
women wore pants and
Oh,
walked
in
around
Iran.
like they were pretty, yeah.
Yep.
So like we flipped it, and now it's way worse. So we went in, overthrew their government,
And if
it's
I
so
remember
much worse
correctly,
now.
Iran, if you go look at the last time Iran ever attacked anybody prior to that, they were not a aggressive nation.
See, this is why a lot of people like me coming out of high school couldn't support the Republican Party and started supporting the Democrats because we came to the conclusion is you got to quit fucking meddling.
Correct, yeah.
Because all we're doing, and we were just high school kids, but
we're
came to this
creating the
conclusion.
problem that we're going to have to fix in 20 years, 30 years,
Yeah.
50 years, 80 years. We're creating these issues.
And not only are we creating it, but we're creating a negative feedback loop. So it's just always going to get worse.
Yep. And now we gotta get Iran because Iran says death to America. It's like, okay, we started this shit. Of course. What are you supposed to say?
And what we didn't do, because it's the CIA, right? Like this is what people don't seem to understand is coming out of World War II, even through Korea, even through Vietnam, when the wars ended, we stayed with our army and rebuilt. But when the CIA
Operation Gladio, we had stay behind forces.
I mean, we literally have like
Yep.
we used to have construction battalions that stayed behind and rebuilt cities and reinstalled plumbing and electricity
And committed
helped
terrorism.
Those people. Fair enough.
Yep.
But like we genuinely rebuilt the things we destroyed. When the CIA does it though, we leave those fucking countries in complete chaos. Operation Gladio is for the codename clandestine stay behind operations. Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the actual rebuilding. Like, and I'm not talking about some that fucking bullshit they did in Iraq where they sold the contracts to private companies. Yep. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about we used to leave actual soldiers behind to reinstall electric, plumbing, rebuild shit. We had construction workers, and they would like go in and rebuild buildings and roads and like help these people do the thing.
I know I'm on
we
a
don't do that
list.
anymore. Now we just sell a contract to you can. I think it's called Selling Iraq. There's a documentary on Netflix. I think it's called Selling Iraq. Look this up, Jason. I think it's called Selling Iraq. And basically what it is we go in, we bomb these fucking countries, and then the taxpayers pay private companies insane dollars to go back in and rebuild them.
Often no bid contracts. Yeah.
And those used to be American soldiers that would go in and help rebuild those. So we would have like a physical force that would stay behind. They would act as police to help, establish.
Yeah, you're reestablishing.
Yeah,
country,
dude. And it was like obviously some bad shit that happened, but it's way better than what the fuck we've been doing. And it's the same thing as privatizing the prisons, dude. Every time we privatize certain things, they just get way fucking worse, man. Like, not everything should be privatized, dude. And I'm saying this as like a wholehearted capitalist, dude. Not everything should be privatized.
I don't know the answer because we've never had fully privatized. There's always been some government collusion with these private companies. So, yeah. I'm not saying that there's a perfect utopian idea of total privatization of everything. There's no utopia, but I just
who would
I
pay?
think
just humor me. Who would pay a company to rebuild somebody else's country, other than the taxpayer?
You don't think
of the offending country,
but you don't think that there would be a natural interest of other people coming in and wanting to see an opportunity to rebuild stuff. I mean,
I think yes, but I think if you're allowed, it's like vultures coming to feast on the corpses. Like it becomes a matter of ethics.
It
becomes a quick
there will be
matter
some
of
of
ethics.
that. I don't think it'd be 100% of that.
Don't bring me up memes, dude. Oh my god, I don't want to start laughing about fucking random ass fucking war memes, dude.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know the right answer in this particular case.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm getting at, though. It's like,
I think the idea of what you're saying is good. I just don't know that one way or the other how it really pans out, because there are bad people that will take advantage of. I mean, every time there's a disaster somewhere, there's people going and stealing kids that lost their parents.
Sure.
There's always going to be some level of evilness that happens. But at the same time, I don't think government is the best solution a lot of times either. So
no, but it seems like rebuilding a nation that we just bombed shouldn't be profitable. We should just be doing it for cost. And that's what the government used to do, like post-World War II, right? Like, we invaded France in order to take France back, right? And our army stayed behind. We bought materials to help, rebuild France, but nobody made money on that, right? Like the companies that sold the materials made a little bit of money, sure, but it wasn't like you just gave. I'm trying to explain.
I don't know if that's the case, because I think this has been going on a long time. There's always been people that profited off of wars and post-wars that had government ties.
Sure, but what I'm saying is, if you go pure private, if you go pure, which is what we did in Iraq, right? Then what happens is you have two options. You get some contractor that shows up in France, and either for some reason the French people are supposed to pay for everything that they didn't destroy. This was a war that the Nazis created, and then the war that the Americans doubled down on. Thanks for liberating us, but like, we don't have anything. The Nazis took everything, and now you're taking everything else. How are we going to pay for anything? So that was kind of the idea, is that we'll stay behind and help you rebuild, right? And then, because thanks for letting us use your land and fucking helping us out to beat the Nazis kind of deal, right? And the only other option is, well, the American taxpayers, who also didn't declare war on anybody, are just going to blindly pay some fucking private company to come in and charge whatever the fuck they want. And it's just an insane situation. Like, the way the Army seemed to have done it before was way better.
I think it's a way more complicated conversation, because
I'm sure it is.
Yeah,
Iraq for sale, that's what it's called.
Because I don't know what the best solution is. I mean, obviously it should be monitored somehow to make sure somebody's not getting taken advantage of. But at the same time, I don't know that government is the best at rebuilding places either. So
no, but there's certainly.
I guess I would need to see some kind of comparison or some kind of metric.
And you're right; it is very complicated. I am dumbing it down a little bit.
It just seems like there's so much to it besides just buildings and stuff. You want to have some people left behind to make sure that that's a stable country, that there's nobody invading to take advantage of a weak nation, obviously. I have a hard time saying government does anything well. And if they do anything well, the cost of it makes it still, was it worth it, kind of thing. So, because, you could save someone's life, but it costs you $50 million to save someone's life. Then it's like, okay, now where's the value? Was that done well? It's technically not done well. It's not done efficiently.
Well, what our government does well is create consistency, right? So what they do really well is when it comes to training, like our troops, I can train you in North Carolina. I can train you in fucking Arizona. I can train you in Texas, or I can train you in Alaska. And then I can put you with any fucking platoon anywhere in the world.
You're standardizing stuff. Yeah.
And you're going to fucking fit right in. It's consistency, right? And that's really important for stability. And that's pretty much the only thing the government seems to do really, really well.
Yeah, well, even from a libertarian standpoint, the libertarians aren't no government. It's just that we believe that government only has certain roles, and one of those is the military. Now, I'd argue about having a standing military, but
again, for consistency, if you lift it up and set it down, lift it up and set it down, what makes the American military so potent is we're constantly running war games. We're constantly training. We're constantly trying to be
But that does not come without the price of eventually being a problem. You know what I mean? Eventually, then we're spending trillions. Now we're looking to go to war all the time. That was one of the big fears of the military, having the military-industrial complex, or having a military at all. You will always have somebody looking to go to war, because that's what fighters do. Fighters want to fight.
That's true. This is very true.
It comes with a price.
Very true.
And we might be a big superpower now, but what if we get blown to smithereens because we exerted our might in order to have safety? In the end, it backfires. I mean, I'm saying there's not a right answer, but to me there's a moral answer.
I mean, you know why it got created, though. It's because we got caught off guard because we didn't have a strong enough military-industrial complex. Like, that was literally, again, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. The idea was we got our asses kicked. We got caught off guard. We almost lost World War II. We barely won this motherfucker.
But we had a military back then, too.
Yeah, but we weren't good. dude. Like, we weren't good.
We
Like,
weren't good in the fact that we couldn't. It was on the other side of the earth. You know what I mean? That's what makes the logistics of warfare so hard. You know, that was one of the
No. What fucked us up was we got attacked, and they devastated everything, and it took us months to rebuild our military.
What got attacked?
Pearl Harbor.
Honestly, I believe Pearl Harbor was let to happen, though.
Maybe.
I think it could have been avoided. I think there's all this evidence that could have been avoided.
Yep, maybe.
And we had sent all of our ships out from that dock except for the 3, whatever the oldest ones. Like, we had some sacrificial ships and some sacrificial lives.
Maybe.
So
I'm not saying you're wrong, because that's a whole podcast in and of itself. Because 9/11 eerily mirrors Pearl Harbor. So it's very suspicious, because it's almost like the same game plan happened twice. One was on purpose, one was advantageous.
Sinking, or the USS Maine. Like, it's
I get it.
It's a repeat, you know.
But let's say for the sake of everything being equal, it wasn't intentional or let to happen or advantageous or whatever. Point being is the justification, the idea, the road that we paved that brought us to this fucking thing was because it took us way too long to rebuild what we had that was lost in Pearl Harbor, right? Because we're not in a position to.
I don't know
these
how
are
much
huge
did we
megalithic it takes months to build these things.
Oh, for
years
sure. But,
to build
but
these things.
But when they wanted to pound them out, they pounded them out.
No, we didn't pound out aircraft carriers and battleships. Like, we pounded out tanks.
We lost. How many ships did we lose during Pearl Harbor?
Here's what I'm saying, dude.
Yep.
We pounded out a bunch of tanks. But again, this took a long period of time. A long period of time. It's not like the next day we just, like, had a bunch of tanks. It's just not how it works, right? Between engineering, drawing up blueprints, fucking actually manufacturing,
I know what you're saying.
Then training the troops on how to operate.
You want to have this
them,
military infrastructure just in case something.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Proactive.
Proactive
Yep. And preemptive is the idea. Proactive and preemptive is the idea. And I'm not saying it was the right decision to make, but again, it's not like we just flippantly made it. It happened because the worst attack in American history.
That's how it was sold, yeah.
And
we won't agree on the circumstances of that event, but
that is
how they sold it.
Yeah, that is how they sold it.
Yeah, and I can understand that
because if you're in a position of leadership,
why wouldn't a country have an army? That to me it seems kind of silly.
No, the idea was if you're the president, because that's where you have to put yourself, because you're the one signing off on this. You're presented with this problem, right? You can never let this happen again. It is your responsibility to make sure that the American military is the most advanced military in the world. So Pearl Harbor never happens again, which again is what makes 9/11 so egregious, right? Egregious. Like, not just fucking, oh my God, it's tragic. No, it's egregious, right? Because Pearl Harbor and the military-industrial complex was supposed to prevent any of these type of things that could ever happen again. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden fucking just, a bunch of fucking dudes with box cutters show up and fucking drive. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, if I'm that president in the 50s, post-World War II, yeah, because no one's smart enough to see 2024 brink of World War III because of this decision. All you're thinking about, at best, you're thinking 1969, no world wars, right? At best, you can extrapolate 10, 20, 30 years and go, yeah, okay.
Yep.
We got to do this because we got that nuke, but man, we got to make sure that like nobody can shoot down the plane with the nuke. So we got to make sure we have stealth. Right? We got to make sure we have this. We got to make sure and the only way to do this is to like overfund the military, basically a conceivably almost an unlimited budget, right? It's just a natural, again, it's like, we talked about this on the election thing. Would you torture somebody? Well, no, unless the only way to save my wife and family and the entire city of Minneapolis is to torture this guy and find out where the dirty bomb is, you're goddamn right. I'll probably torture the guy.
Yep.
Right? I'm going to do everything I can to not torture the guy. But as the fucking clock ticks down, I'm probably going to torture the guy. Like, what are we talking about? There's never a reason to torture somebody. What the fuck are you? If that was true, torture would have never been invented. Like, everything happens for a reason. Like, somebody got pushed into a corner and they fucking reacted. They got a positive result. That's a thing we can do now. Like, what are we you see what I'm saying? Like, what are we talking about, dude? Like, this insane reality that, like, we can just magically be like, nope. If I was in that situation, I'm probably signing off on the military-industrial complex. I'm just admitting it, dude. In retrospect, Monday morning quarterback, of course, dude. But we got here for a reason. It's because we got fucking attacked. We got caught off guard. It's because our military wasn't strong enough. It really was true. Like, we just weren't prepared. Unless the conspiracies are true, which maybe they are.
Prepared for what? Really? I mean, I get what you're saying. I just don't agree. I just don't agree. Like, we weren't a force already. We weren't a force to occupy all these other countries at the time, perhaps. But we did. So
I don't think the CIA existed.
They didn't during Pearl Harbor.
I think CIA was invented in the 50s. When was the birth of the CIA? Oh, yeah. You're saying 9/11. Got you.
Yeah, and my whole thing is this. I try to step back from that and go, okay, so yeah, I mean, all this stuff sounds great, but where do we pay for it in the end?
I think it was in 50s, right? No, still post World War II. Even after we won it, I thought it was the 50s. I would have said 54, 55.
I just started getting back into all the CIA stuff just because I obviously know about all these operations and stuff, but so I've had a passion about all the dark history of America. But
that's a great example, though. Is like, let's talk about the CIA, right? So, like, again, why was the CIA created? Well, because we fucking needed to. You know why? Because other countries had spies. Like, we didn't create spies.
Yeah, but
the French created spies.
But see, we're
Catherine Alexander.
Yeah, but Jared, we had spies before Central Intelligence Agencies.
I know, but we didn't create it.
We just wanted to. Well, and you got to look at Prescott Bush. He's one of the people that helped start that. Then George Bush becomes the.
I agree, but we didn't invent it. Like, we created the CIA, but we didn't invent spies. We didn't invent spy agencies. Look at, so you looked up the birth of the CIA. I believe it was Catherine. God, I'm probably conflating this. But it was the French. I think it was Catherine. I want to say Catherine the Great, but I think that was somebody else. But they had a word for this. They created like a spy agency. And I know this because it's a mechanic built into Civilization, the video game. Like, she gets spies before everybody else by like hundreds of years. And my point is by the time we created the CIA, it was a reaction to things like the KGB because those were already enacted. The wildest thing about espionage in the history of espionage.
We had intelligence. We just didn't.
The Austrians created it in 1850. No, it was before that. I'm telling you. I fucking hate AI so much, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck AI, dude. Like, get rid of it until it's good. It's pissing me off because there's things, dude, almost every podcast now, I ask these guys to look something up and AI gives something at the top and I'm like, that is fucking wrong. Like, it's not even close to accurate either. No, because I'm pretty sure it was like the 16 or 1700s. It was a queen of France. I'm pretty sure her name was Catherine. But the craziest thing about the history of espionage is the greatest in the world to do it are the Israelis, and we taught the Israelis. And we were like the last in the line to figure out how to do it with the CIA. Because the CIA, if I remember right, is a reaction to the KGB, which wasn't the KGB at the time.
I don't know when the KGB was started.
It wasn't the KGB at the time. It was something else.
Yeah, we had different intelligence agencies. We had a different intelligence system before the CIA.
So where we based it off of is similar to Queen Elizabeth. That's England. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure she got it from I'm telling you, it was the French. Unless Queen Elizabeth is French, she might be French, and she might have been the Queen of England at the time, because they used to switch kings and queens back in the day. But she might be French. That might be who I'm talking about. But what I'm saying is, yeah, I bet you, if you guys look at that in the background, I can almost guarantee you she's French. Probably the Queen of London, but she was French. Because they used to do that shit all the time. But anyways, is it the Mujahideen? That's the Israeli spies?
Those are warriors. I think those are like soldiers.
Oh, yeah, that's the Afghan dudes. Who's the Israeli fucking...
That's Mossad.
The Mossad. Yeah. So we taught them, right? But here's the irony. Our CIA was a reaction to Russia's post-World War II spy operation. But the way we organized it and based it off of was the German, their version of the CIA. But not the SS. The SS was like their secret police.
Yeah,
they called it something else. They called it something else. But I'd ask them to pull it up, but he's training him right now. I can hear it in the background. But yeah, we basically based it off of the Germans as a reaction to the Russians, and then we turned around and taught the Israelis, who are now the best in the world. That's a weird that's a weird turn of events, dude.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you believe in the October, was it October 6th?
7th.
October 7th conspiracy?
Which one's that?
It's the same exact thing as 9/11 and Pearl Harbor.
I think
that they let it happen.
Honestly, that to me, there's a lot of government incompetence, and there's the saying that don't tribute malice to what you could contribute to, just incompetence. But I think, honestly, I tend to believe those things just because if you are a student of history, you see that there is a benefit that you can totally exploit. It's and I honestly even believe Hamas even knows what is going to happen immediately after too. They know how that's going to react. Everybody. It's a game that it's like a strategic game. I don't think anybody's caught unaware at all. And I think if you don't think that the best spies in the world don't know what's going on in Gaza,
right? You
got to be on crack. You know what I mean? And to me, a lot of times it's more likely how long did it take to respond to things. Those are most of the questions.
So you think it's at least plausible?
It's
they
plausible.
knew it was going to happen.
It's
they
plausible.
let it happen to use it to rile up people and justify them cracking down. And then you got to figure out, okay, what's the goal?
I'm not saying that is what happened. To me, that's the most likely, just only because of all the other times I've seen it happen. And some of it's been proven. So when you want to go to war with somebody, you make up an event, you stage an event, or you provoke an event, or there's things like that you can do. And this in army manuals on how to multiply your force against something. You stage bombing so that you blame it on your enemy, and then all of us. This wasn't standard operating army instructions and stuff. They know how to do this. This is the oldest tactics in the book. This is old warfare.
Hey, be gentle with that cigar, Murph. The nice cigar.
This is
slamming it down like that.
It's how things work. It's a playbook that works, and why would it change? I mean, you could even go back to. I mean, granted, I don't with Rome and Nero and the city burning down and then blame it on Christians and stuff like that. There's advantages that you can you could blame on your enemies. Whether they were responsible or not, you can use those incidences to crack down on and have the support of the civilians behind it.
I love history when it comes to this kind of shit.
It's
because it teaches you so much about the future.
Yeah, it's just shit. It's just going to keep happening over and over and over again.
And if you know it enough, it's not even a surprise when it happens. If you really this is what's really interesting to me. Before psychology, which I think is the softest of all sciences, right? Well, maybe maybe archaeology might be a softer science, because I swear to God they just make shit up at points. I swear to God they just make it. They just, in order to fill the gaps, they just make shit up sometimes. Sometimes, not all the times, but we used to, like, when you listen to great philosophers, when they would try to discover, like, the motivations of man, which is psychology, they would look at history. They would look at what the people in the past had done when they were in similar positions. And then they would kind of, like, look at the theme that happened through hundreds of leaders over, thousands of years. And they were always right. They came up with the idioms and the cliches, absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yep.
0 people in the history of humanity have ever been given absolute power and not fucked it up. Period. They've never, and this is what blows my mind more than anything, is that I say this a lot on this podcast. Between the hippies and the ancient philosophers, they already figured everything out. From what food to eat, you know what I mean? Like exercise, mental health, power, corruption, indulgence, sin, everything has been figured out. Like, yeah, we get more nuanced in our knowledge of it, but the only thing we really seem to do is just reprove with numbers and measure a more accurate, refined version of the ancient wisdom that we've already known for thousands of years on almost everything. The only gray area that seems to be introduced are by these huge corporations that come in and convince us that butter is bad for you and margarine is better. They come in and they convince you red meat is bad for you and sugar is okay. That's when we start developing a very non-unified version of what health is, both mentally, physically. We have big pharma not encouraging you to exercise or eat healthy or to get good sleep. They encourage you to take a pill.
Yep.
Talk to your doctor so you can live the life under this fucking beautiful sunset and umbrella on the beach like this commercial shows you. Ignore all these potential side effects. Don't worry about actually getting to the root of the problem.
And see, I'd rather get to the root of all the problems. That's why I'm fascinated with psychology.
That's what I'm saying.
And
They
things like
did.
that.
I think they already did.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we figured all this shit out. The problem is those who don't understand history are doomed to repeat itself. Another cliche, another idiom. And it just seems to always be true. No matter how much technology, no matter how much knowledge, no matter how much preaching is done, no matter how much authoritarian fucking rhetoric is given, if you forced everybody to eat a fucking healthy diet, then the human instinct of rebellion kicks in. Now I'm eating Oreos to say, fuck you, Dad. You know what I mean? Like I swear to God, if you knew eating 1,000 Oreos in life would give you cancer and guaranteed death, and you're never allowed to eat Oreos, most of us would have eaten 999 Oreos in our life. You know what I mean?
Probably.
like it's just, there's something about us, dude, and I can't figure it out.
Yeah, humans are crazy in a way. I mean, there's obviously some kind of a biological imperative that makes us the way we are, and that's why this is going to be our natural default. We're going to constantly do these kind of things. There will always be this struggle between progressing into this weird enlightenment at the same time as still being a savage, Neanderthal. There's those elements still exist because they're fundamental to our development for some reason. It's like ingrained in our DNA. So that's why you can't trust government. That's why you can't trust if if an attack happens, you can't trust exactly what the media says. And if you guys think I'm crazy about like 9/11 and things like that, we might have talked about this last podcast, but check out the 1993 World Trade Center bombings by Al Qaeda, who the FBI had an informant the whole time, and they let it happen. Still could have stopped it, never did. So then you go, okay, so they did it then, but I'm supposed to believe them now. So that's why when I see these things, I have to be extra skeptical, because I don't, and maybe to a fault, because I do think terrorism can happen organically, for sure, but I could also see why it's advantageous. It's when you can gain trillions in spending or billions in spending because you got attacked. What's a couple lives?
Right.
I mean, people kill each other over drugs and all kinds of crazy shit. Why wouldn't you do it for billions of dollars?
Yeah, and here's the thing is, like, I could totally see myself if I lacked principles that I currently have, if I lack the morals and ethics I currently have, I can genuinely put myself in the position that if I don't feel and stop, like, if I don't feel, so if I'm basically a psychopath, right, or a sociopath, and I'm in a position of power, and you give me that algorithm, you give me that equation, and I do that math, and I go, yep, bomb them.
Yep.
And this is the weirdest thing is, like, sometimes that is what's best for everybody. But a good person would never be able to make that call.
But see, it goes back to what I said. This is like there's a biological imperative to have some percentage of our population being able to do that. That's why not everybody can be a leader.
Right.
If everybody was a leader, not
everybody can even be a boss, dude.
Yeah, see,
not everybody can even be a fucking middle manager.
Exactly. So, in a way, I'm not trying to
Murph,
say.
will you grab me a beer, please? You want another beer?
No, I'm good. But I think that this is a
going,
part
though,
of mankind. Like, I think this is what we will become. And once mankind is wiped off and we re-evolve again, we do the same thing over and over again.
Is it a biological imperative, or is it just a simple default of evolution? So is it one of those things where nature finds a way to take a certain type of DNA,
yeah, that's what I'm trying to say,
and push that to its hierarchy, right?
That's what I'm trying
or
to say.
is it just a simple, weird, idiosyncratic, honestly, the easiest way would be to label it would be the autistic of us, right? The smartest of us who lack that emotional, womanly fucking, musician style fucking, like if you and I wanted to, we could probably cry on stage while we played music. Like, if we really let ourselves go.
I don't know about
into
you.
the
I don't
music.
know.
Like,
Maybe
I
you.
could probably.
Maybe you.
I definitely could. Especially on drums, I could definitely lose myself enough to shed a tear on stage, like mid drumming, just fucking. Like, I could definitely let go enough to where, like, a tear would come out, like 100% certain. That version of myself should not be given control of the government, right? So my question is it just nature finds a way, and this is how all hierarchies work in any level of nature, almost like some Jordan Peterson shit? Or is it just this weird idiosyncratic thing that happens with people, human beings, in our version of nature, in just
that's
us.
That's what I'm saying. Yes,
in just us, not chimps, not any other animal. It's just us, and it's not a biological imperative that helps our species, but maybe more of a psychological imperative that helps a certain group.
I guess in my brain, I just
succeed over another group.
In my mind, it's kind of the same thing, because I think
humans aren't evolving because these people keep taking over and outbreeding anybody. That's why I'm like, I don't think biological imperative is the right way to put it, because it's not pushing evolution.
I know what you mean. Like, the biggest bull is pushing his offspring, but
no. Is what I'm saying is, like, the moth that has white and black specks is gonna survive and outbreed the moths who are only white or black.
I don't.
When that moth lives amongst birch trees. That's a biological imperative, right? That's something that is literally directly relating to its ability to outbreed its competitor. When we're talking about what we're talking about now, I think it's more of a psychological component that allows one group to temporarily get power over another.
I think that's still part of a biological DNA imperative.
Okay, maybe I'm being dumb. Maybe I'm overthinking it.
Yeah, I think you're overthinking it. I think, and maybe I'm the dumb one and not explaining it well. But I still think that yes, if only leaders existed, well, the species wouldn't work really well.
I'm gonna trust AI this time because it happens to agree with me. Let's read this out loud, you son of a bitch. Put it back up. A biological imperative is a need that living organisms have to survive and continue to exist.
Territorialisms, yeah.
In psychology, hold on. This might back you up. In psychology, the fear response is an example of a biological behavior. Fear response can lead to fight, flight, or freeze behaviors. So that they're saying it the wrong way, but that actually agrees with what you're saying. So it's a biological imperative that discompassionate people end up in leadership positions because they don't have that.
And the rest of us follow.
It's a better fight or flight response.
So it's not even necessarily.
So in that regard, you are correct. You did use it
and
correctly.
The people at the top do generally have throughout history procreated more anyway. I mean,
did you guys hear that? Did you guys hear that? I admitted I was wrong.
Genghis Khan.
Nobody ever thinks I admit I'm wrong. No, but I just did it in front of everybody live on the internet. It just happened. But do you see how easy and subtle it was?
I'm sure.
We looked it up, and I went, "Oh, in that regard, yes, you're 100% correct."
And
we
still might not be. There might be still one little thing that's.
No, it flat out backed you up. In psychology, it's this, and then the way you're using it is correctly. Like these people have a better fight or flight response. It's less emotional. And the same thing that happens with a CEO, dude. You know what I mean? These people need to be able to make ruthless decisions knowing that they're going to fire 100 people and those families are going to be affected and they have kids and not everybody gets to eat at the table tonight. Sorry, man, but it's the greater good argument, dude. These are hard decisions.
I know. I hate the greater good arguments.
But that is the argument.
Yeah.
That is leadership. You have to sacrifice the few to make the whole survive. That is literally
obviously,
leadership.
if you are, even if you're being attacked, as a leader, you're going to direct. You're going to try to defend your fort, your village, a certain way, and you know that no matter
sacrifice troops, dude.
No matter what you say, somebody is going to die. So then you go to the next step and go, what's the least amount of casualties? I mean, or you know somebody's going to die, and you're giving an order to do this or do that. You guys run around the back and try to outflank the enemy.
Or dude, the greatest example is decoy armies. Like we're gonna set up.
Oh, that's yeah.
But this is how small armies, the good guys, right, the underdogs. This is how they've defeated huge oppressors. They set up a decoy army. That decoy army has oftentimes known they're all gonna die, right? Like very few times, in order to pull this off. Very few times do those guys think they're the real force.
Yep.
Because they have to know they're going to die and be willing to do it in order to put up the fight that you need them to put up. And then you attack them from the reverse side. So you're literally sending men to their death.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
This is the job of a general. This is why these men can't sleep at night. This is why these men have 4 stars on their fucking... This is... Dude, I get so frustrated with people that don't understand these things. It's never accepted. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, no.
Like we're all going to die. I'm going to save all our lives. Go hang out with the women and children. Like that's why that used to be a thing. Because that mentality is like, if I allow you to be on the battlefield or in the fucking room around the table while we make battle plans, you're going to get everybody killed. So we're going to segregate
it's like having one bad person in the office. One bad person in the office can cause all kinds of negative
And I'm not saying
bullshit.
women can't be badasses and be in these rooms anymore, but back in the day they couldn't. Like that was a thing. And I'm sure some of them could. Obviously, some women were queens and some women were conquerors. I'm not being a chauvinist. I'm just saying like it's an attitude. It's a cliche. It's an idiom. It's why we come up with that. And you're right, dude. Like, there's a reason. In literal, by definition, it's a biological imperative at that point. And that goes back to something that Greg Moog brought up. He's like, I'm not sure I want my president to necessarily be a good person. Like, that's kind of what he was getting at.
It depends on the definition of good. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
that's what he was getting at. His definition of good is like what I said. Good guys lose wars. That's what he was talking about. Like, good guys don't win wars because you can't beat somebody to death if you're a good guy. Good guys don't kill. Like, you can't murder somebody. if you're a good guy. It can't be in your heart. You're an animal if you kill somebody.
I don't know. I don't know, because obviously somebody hurts your family and you're in a life and death battle. You kill someone.
I'm the good guy, but I'm not a good guy.
I don't know. I think you're a good guy. I think you're a good guy.
I'm the good guy.
If you kill someone defending your family,
I'm the good guy in that moment. Yeah, but murdering somebody doesn't make me a good guy.
No, but that's what's the definition of murder then? I mean,
right. And murder can be justifiable. That's what I'm getting at. But murder is still murder, bro.
But the problem is we blur that line continually until we get to the point of preemptive strikes in other countries. You know what I mean?
Fair. Yeah.
After
you got me on that one too, dude.
After making
this is why I love having Jamal on, because he always gets me, dude.
After
I'm like,
making
them
crazy in the first place.
No. You're right though. But I'm never gonna back off that. Like, if you murder somebody, you're not a good guy. You might be the good guy. Like, right? Like Americans versus Nazis, right? The Nazis were the bad guys. We were the good guys. But in order to, like, literally take the life of another guy who's trying to kill you, you're both trying to murder people. Like, it's literally who's the, like, badder guy. You know, like, who's the badder asser guy? Like, who's willing?
Well, we're talking
because it's about, like, oh, I gotta fucking stick my fucking finger in your eye. Oh, I gotta grab your nuts and twist them. Oh, I gotta fucking somehow do the shadiest thing of all time because our lives are at stake.
Mm-hmm.
All is fair in love and war. There are no rules here. This isn't a cage fight. There are no morals. This is to the death. Like, we're both animals here. We're both bad guys. I might be on the righteous side of this ideologically.
Well, that's what we're talking about when we say words like good and bad. Anyway, we're talking about
once you're in war, that's all. That's once you're in the war, none of that matters. I'm here. I'm following orders. My job's to kill you. Your job's to kill me. Like, neither one of us are good guys. We're both murderers here.
Oh yeah, but you're almost being absolute about it. Like,
that's exactly the point.
But I'm not.
This is why I can go to war and, like, come out of it and, like, compartmentalize it.
I don't know.
It's like, yeah, I was a bad guy. But that's what I had to do. I had to be a bad guy.
It depends on what it is.
And that's why I lived.
If it means kicking a door and spraying the room, regardless of women or children or whatever, I don't know if I could come out of that. So,
well, no, because that's not what we're talking about.
Sure it is. Why isn't it? Because that could be a bad guy in there. There was a bad guy in the last two
houses.
Yeah,
but you just said spray a room. I mean, that's a little different of a.
You're being absolute, and so if you're being absolute, then we got to say absolute. I think in defining good and bad, and whether you can come out of the shit you're gonna see.
The better analogy is the Vietnam analogy. The little kids coming down the road. Dozens of platoons have been murdered by little kids coming down the road with grenades. This is probably one of those kids. You shoot the kid, you end up being right. You're quote unquote the good guy. You shoot the kid. You end up being wrong. Now you're quote unquote the bad guy.
See,
No.
I'm not making.
You're neither the good guy nor the bad guy. You're in war. That's the facts. That's just how it is. And you can't when you're in war. This is my point. When you're in war, you can't think like this. Thinking like the way we're doing this right now, when you're in the war, is how you get people killed. That's a fact, dude. That's how it works, dude. Like, you can't.
But I think
like I'm
not absolute about it.
You have your rules of engagements. You have your ethical fucking training. That's it. Beyond that, dude, when it's me, you, when the criteria is met, that's it, dude. We're done. Like, we're either engaging or we're not. We're retreating or we're not. Like, it depends on what if you're special forces, you never retreat.
I don't think
there's so many things that go into it. It's so logic based, and you have to be logic based in war because emotions lose war.
But
that's
it almost sounds like
at.
There's been no like humanitarian successes in
not during a war. Not during a war.
I don't agree with that. I believe there's been times where people are like, no, let's not go there. Let's do this. But, there have been times where, like, people have made the right call. Because you can't just go shoot up every village. If you shoot up every village,
fair.
There's going to be, I don't think anything's absolute.
Okay, true. But that making those decisions, first of all, definitely weren't made in the middle of the war. Those were ethical and protocol.
We don't know that. These are figments. These are just hypothetical.
This is how militaries are built. they have rules, they have protocols, they're including
Correct.
rules of engagement, right?
Correct. Yep.
So those things were preemptively decided, right? Those things weren't arbitrarily decided in the middle of conflicts, and making
I
those
think we're not talking. We must not
making
talking
those
the same
high
thing.
making those high ethical decisions, taking the higher road, and not doing all those things. Those things didn't win them the war, is what I'm saying. So,
I would argue that
being
I
the
would
good guy has
you know,
never won a war.
I think we're being too absolute, because I honestly think if you didn't have some good people in there making some good calls on not to shoot up this convoy of vehicles that's leaving this town that's heading towards you, it could totally be refugees leaving, whatever. If you are cold calculated and you blow up that convoy and it's innocent people, that could cost you a war. That's what problematic. That was what's so problematic about Vietnam. So.
So I guess the better example of what I'm trying to say is like in World War II, we started to decode some of the Nazi signals, and we knew they were going to bomb or blow up or do something, and they were going to murder a lot of people. And we could have stopped it, but if we would have stopped it, we would have given away the fact that we knew their code.
Correct, yep.
A good guy would have not let those people die. That's what I'm saying. That's actually also what you're saying.
But
that's actually literally what you're also
Correct.
saying about being the discompassionate person, and it's a biological imperative for these people to be in those decisions, because those are the hard decisions that and this is what I'm saying. A good guy, it can't, because you're a good guy. And that's what I'm saying. You're not a good guy. You're not like a good guy versus bad guy, like Superman versus whatever. I'm saying you're like a good guy. You know, like nice guys finish last, like that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And yes, there's got to be a certain amount of ruthlessness in war for sure.
That's what I'm getting at.
But I just don't think it's absolute. Like I think
No,
there's
of
a
course
lot
it's
of.
not, but
see, that's the thing is you don't have answers. You still have to cling on to some kind of morality. I just think we can come up with all the hypotheticals in the world, because that could by letting somebody bomb us, that could get us into a war, and we'll save this country. But I think sometimes we're shifting around.
Stay close to that, though.
We're shifting around who gets hurt. We're shifting around like, we're going to have 500,000 Americans die in this war if we do this.
Yep.
But we're going to save France, and we're going to save this. We're moving around who takes that.
That's
the
libertarian argument, though, is that there's going to be suffering, and we're just trying to get to the least amount of suffering. We're never going to evade all suffering.
I don't know that the libertarian. I mean, it's the least amount of force is a libertarian principle.
What is that beep, you guys?
Something on the main computer.
Go into that sound mixer and turn that down, Steve.
But I mean, I don't think it's the libertarian principle to be, and maybe I'm wrong, but that you try to like, I'll sacrifice these 10,000 so that these 20,000.
No, and that's not what I mean. Yeah. What I'm saying is, like, the thing I respect about the libertarians like you and a bunch of other guys is they go, like, the system we throw up, there's definitely suffering here. But it's when you measure how many people are suffering and the amount they're suffering, it's the least amount compared to this, and this. And that's where I go, okay, even if I don't agree with you, I respect your principle resolve to get to that conclusion. So then I can go, okay, this is somebody who's operating from good faith and good conscience and like depth, and this is somebody who can be reasoned with. Whereas somebody who is on the opposite side of that spectrum, who disregards the amount of suffering or somehow tries to justify the fact that way more people are suffering and the amount they're suffering is disproportionate,
or thinks nobody should be suffering.
Right. Those things are unrealistic. That's what I'm getting at. So, and it's the same analogy when we talk about like fighting and war and all that kind of shit. Like, these things are kind of inevitable. So it's almost like that old lesser of not two evils, but lesser of all evils is like, okay, that's kind of what I'm saying is everybody in war is a bad guy. How bad do you want to get, right? And the point is nobody's saying if you want to win a war, you got to beat the Nazis and kill Jews.
Right. Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying, but like the only way you can have ethics in war is if everybody agrees to those ethical things before the war.
But there's
Which is why
that-
we have
that
things like
still
war
doesn't
crimes.
work.
That's
Yeah.
why we don't use biological weapons in war right now. So we're
don't?
not launching Ebola into battlefields. We're not launching anthrax into capital cities. We're not, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, we do have fucking ethics, bro. Like, Russia has not launched any biological weapons to try to take Ukraine. These are called ethics.
Yeah.
And the only reason those ethics are abided by is because both sides agreed to them before the fucking wars started.
Well, and
That's what I'm getting at.
I
dude.
think too, though.
Does that make sense? Though, are you following me at least?
Yeah,
Even if you don't agree with me,
it's
do you at least understand the argument? and-
partially true. But what you're saying is partially true. Yes, we agree beforehand we're not supposed to use weather weapons against each other, biologic weapons against each other, this certain type of uranium round, this, we have all these rules. But we don't abide by them just because we agreed to them, though. I think we abide by them when it's strategically advantaged to abide by them, right? Because a lot of times, like you say, Bashir al-Assad gassed his own people in Syria. I don't believe that he gassed his own people in Syria because that would actually turn everybody against Syria, and all of a sudden there'd be justification for war in Syria.
Right.
So, like, there's other reasons besides an agreement between me and you why I wouldn't do something, is because I understand that that would turn
But we
everybody
know
against me.
Saddam gassed his own people.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he gassed his own people with American-made weapons.
Yeah, I mean, that might be where he bought them.
Yeah, and I to be honest with you, I think we.
And it might have even been.
I
not
think we
even
signed off
American-made
on
weapons.
it, though.
Might have even been one of those deals where it was like American-made canisters for something else that were repurposed.
No, made in
It
Philadelphia.
Could have been. Because
Because
I don't think I don't think America's manufacturing chemical weapons. I think we manufacture antidotes for chemical weapons.
Oh no, I think we make shit.
Do you think
Oh,
we're
yeah.
running around making sarin gas?
Dude, we make. I don't
Why
think
would we
use,
make
I don't think
sarin
we
gas?
deploy sarin gas.
Why would we even make it?
I don't know. Find out. Saddam got weapons of mass destruction from.
Does the United States government currently make sarin gas?
I don't know if it's
Jason. Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure you guys were paying attention.
because I honestly, I think we signed off. I think we led either through back channels or from proper channels. I think we led Saddam into thinking he could,
Cheers, by the way. This is a great podcast.
that he could go ahead and do that, gas the Kurds and do it like this thing. So I think we kind of, because you remember we put him in charge in the first place.
Yeah, but
We're
then we
responsible for
fucked
his
him,
rights.
and then he was like, fuck America.
Yeah, but I think from the 1900s to 1968, the U.S. produced and stockpiled chemical weapons. Well, I don't know what kind of chemical weapons that means, but yeah, I believe that we still
It's-
manufacture
okay,
shit.
Now, hold on. Pull that back up. Bring that back up because as of right now, this is not. See, this is old Google.
Yep.
Like, this is CDC. This is not an AI overview. This is a direct pull.
Oh, our chemical weapons has been destroyed
As of 2023,
last year.
Allegedly.
Yeah, come on now.
So, I mean, that does seem a little sus. But it also lines up with what I've been kind of saying is like, we've been slowly agreeing to these things, even with our enemies. All right, like, these are lines we're not going to cross. Because if you do this, the whole world is going to come down on you, right? So, but we also
but
know...
we cross lines all the time.
But we also know post-1968 that Saddam definitely used sarin gas on his people. So I'm just saying, man, like...
CIA file proves America helped Saddam as he gassed
Oh,
Iraq.
God damn it. That's Iran. That's Iran. We're talking about when he gassed his own people. We're talking about when he gassed his own
Did he gas his own people, or was it the Kurds?
But wasn't that in Iraq?
I don't know where. We're gonna have to look.
But
at
I thought it was the Kurds in Iraq.
Could maybe.
God damn it! If
I
I'm,
need to
if
do-
I'm
I need
wrong,
to read
if
up
I'm
on-
wrong on this,
Dude, I'm telling you.
every time I have you on, dude, I've never been wrong. So
I'm
many
glad
times.
that you question. I'm glad that you questioned me, but like I have delved down this.
See, I wish you were
this
going to be
shit.
like. I wish you were. Gonna
I
be
wish
like,
I knew all the details, but I have at least at one time studied this stuff. I haven't retained it all, so I could get some of the details wrong.
Oh, you're good.
But I'm
though.
telling you that It's there. It's happened, and that's the reason why I have a different view on current and foreign affairs than other people do.
Well, and
because
this is why
the
I
more
have you
you
on
know,
so
the more
often,
the
too.
likely scenario is this versus
bitch.
this.
No, but this is why I have you on so often, too, because I'm never so wrong so often as when I have you on. When I have you on, you're like, no, dude, I'm telling you. And I'm like, really? Let's look it up. And usually I'm the one who's right on everything. So it's
that
very
part of
fun when I have
Turkey?
you on.
Is that
So it is northern Iraq. Yeah, you can see it in the map there. Click on that picture.
and Turkey?
Can you zoom in on that?
But I don't know if that's
Can you
what
like
I'm looking at.
control scroll or control plus? Because I'm telling you, see, that's like, dude, that
Mhm.
whole that's all still Iraq. So yes, it was definitely his own people. Yeah, I'm sure, but I'm just saying, like it was definitely his own people, and that's where Americans
See, now,
drew
I
the
think
fucking
from what I remember,
the fucking conflict.
and I don't
Is you gassed your own people, dude? Because he wasn't gassing. In his eyes, he wasn't gassing his own people.
I think
he was gassing the Kurds who happened to be in
Right,
his land. And the way Americans look at it is, it doesn't matter what religion they're on. It doesn't matter if they're fucking bad guys. Those are your own people. That's like gas. That's like literally gassing people in Portland because they're Antifa. Like, bro, I get it. But, dude, they're still Americans. You can't gas them. That's how we
No,
react.
I agree.
That's how we reacted. It's like, yeah, dude, they're fucked, but like, you can't do that to your own people. That's how we all.
I agree,
reacted.
but I'm telling you that I think, and I don't remember all the details.
You're not wrong, but
I
it
think
was still
we
his
gave
own
him the
people.
green light to think he could do it and get away with it.
I also don't think. Well, actually, I think George Bush was because that was George Bush, right? When that happened, yeah. I think George Bush and the CIA was. Dude,
Bad
I'm 100% certain at this point they killed Kennedy.
Oh yeah, 100%. I just jumped down that rabbit hole all over again with
Dude,
all this stuff.
I found that rabbit hole 10, 15 years ago,
Yep.
and I sent it to my buddy, and he goes, that whole thing's bullshit. And I went, really? Because I also researched it, and I found it to be insanely fucking credible. Basically, George H.W. Bush was the head of the CIA, colluded with Nixon.
I don't know if but I don't know if he was the head of the CIA at the time.
No, he fucking
He was up. He was up there because his daddy Prescott Bush is one of the people
He
that
is.
helped start the whole CIA to begin with.
There's a really
But
wonky
Operation
amateur.
Zapata.
Yep. So there's a wonky Netflix documentary that probably doesn't exist anymore because Netflix recycles their content, but it was on there for years. And yeah, that's exactly what it is. There's George H.W. Bush's fucking oil company who's in the region, based in the area while
Zapata,
he's head of this. And he, trust me,
Zapata Oil
he-
Company,
he-
Operation Zapata.
and he was head of the CIA.
Yep. Yeah, it was a different person at the time, but yeah,
Yeah, and that's the thing is you got to look at it as like, yeah, I'm probably fucking this up, and I'm glad you fact checked me on that. So like was that John Cone guy? Was he admin during the assassination, or was he the guy who was the admin during the majority of his administration? Because it's one or the other.
Didn't Dulles stop? Didn't Dulles was after that? I can't remember.
So he was the head of the Warren Commission, and I think he took over the CIA. There's basically like three dudes in a six, and George H.W. Bush is right there. And this is back when the CIA and every other government organization, like NFL teams, it was like, you're an assistant coach. When that head coach goes, you're the new head coach, right? Like there was a direct, like it wasn't like these rock stars like Barack Obama and Donald Trump just showed up and took over that's not how it worked back then. It was very much like, but when was he? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that means either
Robert Kennedy's side.
So George H.W. Bush. And George H.W. Bush is one of those guys
I don't know
who
when
like is officially never been confirmed as head of the CIA, but there are several documents in that documentary I'm referring to that have George H.W. Bush as the head of the CIA.
At the time, he wasn't. But you're saying according to
right.
Secretly, he was.
There are no official documents that say, and he is never publicly admitted, but there are so many in this documentary, which it's a wonky documentary. Yeah, after a pledge by Bush to not run, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so trust me, you're not going to find an official one on this.
I think he was high
even
up.
in the documentary, it's super wonky because back then they didn't admit who was the leader of the CIA. That was the other thing.
I don't know.
They had the directors, but they didn't.
Sometimes you say stuff, and I'm like, oh, am I wrong? I don't know. I think they did have a
I'm not going to be able to
CIA.
substantiate
I think they had
this.
directors.
Just honestly, chalk this one up to me talking out of my ass as far as like being able to verify it. But trust me in my credibility and my character that I usually don't make shit up.
No, I don't think you're making it. I don't think.
And in this documentary, it shows verifiable documents. And back then, I was able to like, this shit's all been scrubbed. You can't Google shit anymore. But I remember researching it and finding it to be like incredibly credible. Like, holy fuck. And yeah, basically, it's fucking the CIA killed Kennedy.
Yeah,
and
I believe so.
It gets into all of it, to the Bay of Pigs, the whole deal, dude. And now there's more shit coming out that basically
Operation Zapata.
Right.
Operation Mongoose. Yeah.
Yeah, and basically, like, now there's more books and more documentaries that are basically just coming out and doing the same thing that this documentary is talking about. I just haven't actually read these books.
I haven't found anything where everything's in.
I can't cite sources.
I haven't found everything that's in one spot yet. I mean, there's so much to it but like I just recently listened to this speaker about the two phone switch operators at the jail where Lee Harvey Oswald was before he got shot 12 hours later. And how they tracked that phone number down that he was supposed to get a phone call from, and all this stuff. And it's interesting because if all that shit is true, which they have proof that it's true, whether it's manufactured or after the fact or not, I would think that had been exposed at some point already. But it's like that phone call goes to a John D. Hurt in North Carolina, former naval intelligence guy or some shit, right? It's like, why is this guy calling this dude as it's, phone call? He was definitely connected. He wasn't just some anti or pro-Soviet or anything. Like, wasn't just some loser, you know what I mean?
The weirdest one is the Jack Ruby losing his mind within seconds or minutes at best of Jolly West.
Jolly West, yeah.
Visiting him in prison.
Mm-hmm. They dosed him or something.
Dude,
yeah.
they gave him.
But if you remember, even I think Sirhan got visited by Jolly West, and he was writing stuff on his walls and like talking like a madman and shit like that. All these guys.
Dude, I've done a lot of acid twice, and I've never done acid since because it definitely fucked me up. Like, it definitely broke my brain a little bit. I'm lucky that I did it young enough, and it probably took 15 years to heal my brain, and I'm still not sure I'm 100% healed. But I know for a fact you can't OD if you're of sound mental capacity. You can't OD on mushrooms. You absolutely can fucking OD on acid. Like, you can take too much acid. You can take the wrong acid. Like, it can fuck your whole
End up
shit
like
up.
Sid Barrett from
Yeah,
Pink Floyd.
dude. It's rare, but it can be done. It absolutely can be done. And I think they did it. And I think that's because I almost had a psychotic break, dude, from doing acid. And I did 3 hits of what's called mop batch acid.
It sounds like quality shit.
So, well, what it is they've made all the acid, right? So they make a pan of acid, and they have these sheets. and then they set the sheet of paper down in the liquid.
Mm-hmm.
They let it soak for a certain period of time, and then they pull it up. They move on. They drop another one down. They drop another one down. They drop another one down. And just like drinking booze,
MK Ultra.
just like drinking booze, when you get down to the bottom, it's kind of concentrated because the heaviest always goes down to the bottom, right? So mop batch is you end up with tinier and tinier squares, and then eventually you end up with a square that's so small you're not going to keep putting more in there. So you just take that same piece of paper and you dip it, and then you dip it again, then you dip it again, then you dip it again. You're just trying to mop
What
up.
would possess you to do that?
You're just
shit?
trying to mop up the last of it, right? Well, I mean, I fucking, tripped a bunch of times and shit, dude. And I did acid twice on a level where I will never do it again. The first time I just thought, oh, it was a bad trip. The second time I did it, it was like, oh, yeah, I'm not down with this anymore. And then later I found out when I was like, oh, yeah, I did 3 hits. And they were like, well, you did 3 what? So basically what I found out was, and they were probably bullshitting, but with like one of those mop batch hits was equivalent to like a 5 strip. So it's basically like doing 15 hits of acid. And I was just a teenager. Just not, I mean, I did 1 and I had a great time. I did 2, I had a great time. I did 3 and I fucking was like, what the fuck? And then somebody was like, oh yeah, you had a bad trip. That happens every once in a while. So then the next time I was like, oh, I'll do 3 hits. And I fucking had another horrible trip, dude. And what I didn't realize is I was like pushing my brain right to that fucking brink of the psychological thread of like, here's reality and here's where you're an insane person. It took years, and I didn't know this until a few years ago. Like, I was probably like 30. Oh, so I guess that's like 10 years ago now. Yeah, it took a long time before I realized, oh, dude, that's what happened. Yeah, I was living in my own world through my 20s, dude. That's why I try to explain to everybody, like, I was not a healthy human being. Like, I was mentally ill. I was running through the world on a fucking thin fabric.
We always talk about drugs every podcast, but I'm not.
Do we?
I'm boring because I don't. I don't do drugs. Yeah, so smoked a pot a few times. You know what I'm saying? But that's about it.
I only did hallucinogens and weed and drank. I never really got into coke. I did coke a couple times, but I never really got into it. I never did heroin, not once. People think I did heroin because I got these little pop marks, but that's from donating blood plasma because I was poor. But you never got into drugs?
Mm-mm.
It's never your vibe, huh?
Never got into it.
You just smoke good to pot.
And I never got into heavy into drinking or whatever. I don't know if I have that personality. Get into that. Like, I always feel like shit. Like, drink the next day, you feel like shit. My body doesn't crave it. So I don't think I have that gene that allows me to get to be an alcoholic.
Yeah, I feel that way with hard alcohol. I like drinking beer because I like carbonated beverages.
I have a beer a year, probably.
Really? Yeah. Well, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. I'll take that as a compliment. I'm your 1 beer a year guy.
Pretty much.
You should. I'm gotta graduate you to 1 beer per podcast.
Oh, I don't know. I'll be burping on this thing constantly, so I don't usually do beer.
You just gotta do more.
It's kind of annoying, actually, to constantly like burp.
Every beer you drink, you gotta do 100 push-ups. Oh, you can do it. It's 1 beer per podcast, dude. Then you got 100 push-ups to do before the next podcast.
Oh, I see what you mean.
You fucking pussy.
I ain't doing 100 push-ups.
You fucking pussy. I do 100 push-ups every morning that I decide to do push-ups. So I used to do them every day, and then I hurt my shoulder again because I gotta go see a fucking doctor, dude. My shoulder's seriously fucked up because I can do 100 push-ups, and then all of a sudden one morning I wake up and something's wrong, and then I'm down for like a week or 2. It's so hard for me to build that consistency now. But when I'm doing push-ups, I do 100. And I do them in sets of 25.
I don't know if you heard me, but I did 1,000.
No, you can do 100 push-ups, you little bitch.
Yeah, well,
I believe in you.
Not
You can
now.
definitely do it.
I could work up to it maybe, but
No, you got to work up to it for sure. Yeah. The first time I decided to do them, I was like, I'm going to do 100 push-ups. And I knew I wasn't doing 100.
20 maybe.
I think I got to 10. Yeah. And then the next day I got to 10 no problem, but couldn't do like 11 or 12. And then all of a sudden it jumped to 15, and then it was 17, and then I started jumping to 5. So I was like 20, and then 25, and then it was 25 for a while, and then 30 and 35. You know what I mean? It was like these weird little humps and plateaus. And then, yeah, once I got to 75, it was just like a matter of taking a long enough break to do another set of 25. And then it was just, we jumped to 100. And now anytime I decide I'm doing push-ups in the morning, I can do 100. I'm not saying I do 100. Like, it's sets of 25. Sometimes I got to wait a few minutes in between. But it's dope. When you do it, dude, it's fucking awesome.
So how many friends did you lose after Trump won?
That's how disinterested you are talking about push-ups. At least 5. At least 5.
I think I lost one.
The
I was
worst-
actually very surprised.
The worst was when my homeboy Sean was spinning out, and I seen him spinning out, and I was just like, dude, chill out. Like, and that's like the tone in my head. I was like, dude, chill out. And somebody came up and was like, oh, that's easy for you to say without a uterus. And I was like, irrelevant. And then she blew up on me. She's like, how the fuck is that irrelevant? And I was like, how about you tell me how it's relevant, and then I'll tell you how it's irrelevant. And all of a sudden, this other chick started piling on. And then Sean's like, don't get fucked up. And I'm like, hold on, what the fuck are we even talking about here? Like, I'm just trying to tell my boy to chill out here because he's fucking losing his mind. You know, this is how dudes talk to each other, even online. Like, I didn't say anything disrespectful. Now, if I misspoke, if I upset him, fine. I'm not saying I handled this exactly the way a great human being would handle it, but saying chill out does not justify this at all. Dude, I got called
Let's
a
say
bigot.
they're looking to lash out at somebody, and if you give them anything, stick your head out. That's who they're going to go after. It doesn't matter how severe of a response you posted. It doesn't.
And dude, the amount of people that were like, you're inappropriate for stepping in here and telling him to chill out. I'm like, listen, I didn't tell a woman to calm down. I didn't tell a woman to stop being emotional. I told a grown fucking man who is allegedly my friend to chill out. That is exactly how dudes talk to each other. Even if I didn't make the right decision, the rest of this is insane. And I'm the one that everybody's like, Jared, you really need to fuck off. No. I'm not doing this anymore. Like, I'm standing here just being normal. Everybody's having a fucking meltdown. And I say chill out or calm down, and everyone's like, don't fucking tell me to calm down. Because that's basically what happened, including by another dude who literally came in and said that. Stop telling me to calm down. And I'd go, dude, chill out. Stop telling me to chill out. And I'd go, dude, relax.
I think it's dudes like that prove there's more than two genders.
Bro.
They're definitely not a man.
Dude, I can't do this. I can't have these arguments, dude. It's insanity. These are irrational people not having rational arguments. And that's where I came. So to go full circle back to where I'm telling you, dude, half these people are mentally ill. And I didn't realize how many of them I thought were normal, intelligent, healthy people. They're me when I was 24, still recovering from doing too much acid. But they're 40. That's what terrifies me.
Yeah, I think they're crazy. I think that is I'm not going to bash all leftists, but
No,
I think
I'm-
there is a
I'm-
lot
I'm
of
saying
mental
it's a
illness on
chunk
that
of them.
side.
It's a chunk of them.
And it's not even. And
It's the ones who are losing their mind post-election.
and you'll find a lot of people wear them like
Some
badges,
people,
man.
And don't
like,
get me wrong. Some people are heartbroken, dude. Some people are devastated.
well, because they believe some bullshit.
I'm not talking about you guys. I'm not talking about people who are not happy with the result of I'm not talking about you guys. I'm talking about the group of you who are losing their fucking minds. And they're doubling down on all the positions that lost you guys the election in the first place. And they're not listening to reason. They're refusing to change. They're further paving your road to hell. These are people are literally giving you your defeat. And it's not all of you. I was one of you a year ago. Literally up to 1 year ago, I was still technically with the liberals. Maybe it was 2 years ago, but now I'm like, man, I officially call myself a liberal Republican. That's how I have to classify myself, because I'm voting Republican, but I still have a lot of liberal values. I'm still pro-choice. You know what I mean? I'm still pro-gay rights. I'm still pro-gay marriage. You know what I mean? Like, and I've been trying to tell people this, like, all my points of view, like, in regards to the government, what used to be liberal values are now conservative values. Small government. It's get out of my life, right? And now a lot of my liberal values are now conservative values,
Well,
which is free speech, lack of censorship.
Hasn't it rotated
freedom,
anyway?
you know?
Because classical liberal was the small government. Like, you know what I mean? I think it's constantly cycles.
Let's play a song, dude. I got to take a leak. What time is it? 9 o'clock. All right, let's play a song, and then we'll fucking do like 20 minutes, half hour. We'll do some wrap up, fucking whatever you fucking your final thoughts are. All right. What? I don't like you guys talking shit back there whispering.
I like it.
You like it? Oh, God, you guys are
some shit.
perverted. You little perverts. What should we play? You guys got anything you want to hear? Yeah. Do you remember any of these song names? I know it's all very new, but I play them a lot, so. That's cool. Let's play something a little rockin'. We'll play Saved a Place for You by the Montoya Machine. I like this, dude. It's pretty cool.
Life comes first, or so we're told to believe. That death will always have the last word. But in some cases, in these darkened spaces, we're put in our places to be. I think I'm gonna stay. I think I'm gonna stay right here. I think I'm gonna stay. I think I'm gonna stay right here. Skin grows first and then we can proceed. But it won't be painless, don't you know, babe? I've been here with you, I've waited for long to see you be put where you belong. Don't you think you wanna stay? I think you wanna stay right here. I think you wanna stay. I think you wanna stay right here. God will share His mercy, taste it all. Swell your corpse with honey's fill. You know I will. Come over here and take your place. You never think it goes like this. Get over here and take your place. You never think life would go this way. Hey. You never think it'll go like this, but then life comes along and shows you where your place is. You never think it'll go like this, but then it does. But then it does. You never think it'll go like this, but then life comes along.
I'm very apprehensive about using anything Behringer on the podcast. After I sold gear, dude, it's just not. It's just no. It's really not. That's the thing. Well, exactly, because that's the thing, dude. The Zoom L20, yeah, it was $1,000, but it does exactly what you're talking about. I've got 6 independent mixes on the outputs. So that's exactly the amount we're talking about. Like, quite literally. So basically, I got to buy another Zoom L20, but I don't like the preamps on the Zoom L20 for the monitor mix. So when we're sitting here talking, I don't like the way it sounds in the headphones. I like the way the Scarlett sounds in the headphones. And I can't, no matter what I do, I cannot get the monitor mix to sound this way. Like, I would have to EQ it all weird and do some dumb shit to it, and it just bothers me, because then you're fucking with the music and shit, too. And Soundcraft? Well, I'll have to look into something like that, dude. There's a lot of shit I'd like to upgrade to soon, especially if we move soon, dude. Like, yeah, we got a lot of things in the works, dude. A lot of ideas, a lot of plans, a lot of options. Things are cooking. I'm really excited, dude. I'm trying to keep everything on the DL because I don't want to keep talking about shit, dude. That's actually not that bad. And it's on sale right now, $734. Man, I wish I had more credit cards. I actually probably could just buy that and throw it on a credit card, but no. That's how irresponsible businesses go into the ground.
Yeah, well, a lot of companies use some kind of debt to start. But
So how about you, man? You said you only lost one friend post-election?
yeah, but I'm not even sure who it is. So
Oh, you just lost like
I
somebody
just,
on Facebook?
Yeah.
Oh, I know for a fact there's certain people that'll never speak to me again. Yeah, so probably 4 or 5. And it's so funny because it's like I'm the softest Trump voter of all time.
Yeah, probably.
But they were like, oh, this motherfucker, fuck you. And now I'm like, now I'm permanently on this side.
But in a way that
you
almost
guys didn't
makes
get
you
the message.
It almost makes you the worst kind, though, too, like in their mind, because they've already written off everybody else that they already know was a Trump voter. You know what I mean? So they've already written. But when somebody like you, it's more of a betrayal or something. You know what I mean?
Well, I tried to talk to him and I tried to warn him, and I was like, if you guys don't start admitting that these things are wrong, and if we don't start like going, hey, then I'm gonna have to like consider voting for the other team. And everyone was like, fuck you. And I was like,
concerned
are you guys
about
sure?
I'm concerned about like all the heat he's getting for his picks and stuff like that, because a lot of it seems like there's more heat on like the Tulsi and the Bobby Kennedy and the more than
So let's break
more
this
than
down.
there is on the like the Rubio. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't make any sense.
So here's how I want to wrap this up. I love this, and we'll take as much time as you need to do this. Do me a favor. Pull me up a list of all the appointees that Trump has named. I want the full list and a scrollable list. How's your back feeling, Jason? We got to get you a better chair. So we got to get you a better chair. We got to get more room down here. I got to figure out a way to make some more space. I'm thinking about knocking that wall out and then having you guys sit on the other side of that wall and like literally putting up plexiglass and throwing in a door here so we get a little bit better soundproofing. And then you guys will be in that little, if you just look over there, that little bar area that's sitting there, you guys would just have that as like a studio on the other side and then build a wall behind that. You guys have like a nice little studio. The fridge would be right behind you.
But it's weird. It's because almost like the establishment people, they're not getting the same heat in the media as the other.
So set the stage. Okay, so what do you mean by establishment media?
I mean just the mainstream media, which all these terms kind of are getting outdated anyway. But
Legacy
media, which It takes me a long time.
The 3-letter networks.
Takes me a long time to adopt a new term. And I've been saying the same thing for decades.
So for anybody that's confused, the 3- and 4-letter networks.
But no, like
because Joe Rogan's becoming mainstream now.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio. There's not a lot of pushback on that one.
Unless you just don't like him, right? Okay, but yeah, I want you to go through these one by one, and I want you to
I can't do that because I don't know all these people.
Okay, but the ones you do know, give us your breakdown because I don't know shit about some of these people.
I might know 10.
I'm only going to be able to comment or push back on a couple
because he just
of
did a
these.
whole bunch at once, and unless you're really paying attention,
that's what
which
I'm
we
saying.
should be doing anyway.
So let's start getting into it, and
this
will give you some meat to chew on for the next time you come on, and what it'll be February, right? It'll be after his inauguration. So all the people you don't know, this will give you some shit to chew on because, like I said, this will set us up for either your podcast or
you don't need to set me up,
or us starting a new podcast. So
Chief of Staff, that was she was on his campaign though, wasn't she? She
Susie
kind of ran
Wild?
his campaign. I don't know anything about her, but
I don't remember her too much.
I think she was.
I do know that this is officially the first female chief of staff of all time. So for the guy who said grab her by the pussy and who hates women, super interesting that it's the first female chief of staff of all time. All right, Marco Rubio, what do you know about old Marco?
I always pictured.
He ran for president in 2016,
yes,
right?
he did, yep. Oh, who hasn't now?
Deep stater?
I think he is a deep stater, yeah. I think,
really?
Yeah.
Okay, you both said that, so
at
okay.
least aspiring deep stater, you know what I mean?
Okay, so you're both libertarians, so what does that mean? Deep stater.
To me, it's like he's the part of the establishment and wants to keep the war machine going and,
Okay, but what's the background to justify that? Like, give me something like he worked for this company who's involved with this. Like
it's more about what he's voting for the wars and the spending and stuff like that. He's there to protect all the Mitch McConnell stuff and the Nancy Pelosi stuff because at the top they're kind of the more similar they get when they get towards the top.
Okay.
And he's
got a deep stater war hawk kind of.
Yep.
Back in the day, we would have said big oil, like we would have called him a big oil guy, right? Okay, so he's just basically a puppet of the powers that be.
I think so.
So this is
he's got aspirations to be president. Like
so
most
this
of them
is
do,
a
but
pretty questionable appointment. Marco
I
Rubio.
think it is.
Okay.
I think
okay. Seemingly questionable. Okay. Attorney General Pam Bondi.
Yep.
After Matt Gaetz withdrew.
Yep.
So who's Pam Bondi?
She was the Attorney General of Florida.
Whore. What?
Of Florida.
Oh, I thought
Florida.
you said whore.
No.
Oh, damn. I said whore. Oh, shit. Not a whore. Pam Bondi, don't sue me.
She does seem like a little bit of an attack dog, so I don't know if it's at the same level as Matt Gaetz, but we kind of do need an attack dog right now in there because, honestly...
What do you mean by that? Because I've heard you say that a couple times, and I want to make sure I understand you. Let's also make sure the listeners understand you, because attack dog
sounds
is
bad, but
super ambiguous, dude. Because some people, when they hear attack dog, they hear like a Law and Order candidate, which is like lock them all up.
No.
And it doesn't matter if you're innocent, if you're suspected, fuck them all. That's how it's perceived. So what does attack dog mean?
I mean, attack dog is somebody who's actually going to go after the powers that caused all this election interference and things like that. And I'm not trying to deny election, but I'm saying like the investigate the Russian collusion hoax. Who started that? I mean, we already kind of know. Like who covered up all this stuff? Who's behind the Twitter files? Those kind of things. Because those things, regardless, I know people are going to say, "Oh, he's using the government to go against his political, opponents or whatever." Some level of that needs to happen. Otherwise, it just keeps repeating anyway. I think it's going to keep repeating anyway. But if there's no fear that anything's ever going to happen to you, you're going to pull that bullshit over and over again. And I think that the people that did the illegal shit should be definitely being looked at for at least this administration, and even going back farther. I don't care, but the Twitter files are a big. When you're literally devoting millions of dollars and staff to send thousands and thousands of tweets that you want censored and Facebook posts and all that kind of shit. To me, that stuff needs to be investigated.
Okay. Deputy Attorney General Todd
Don't know
Blanche,
who that is.
whatever, HHS, Homeland Security, right?
Bobby.
no,
no,
that's Health and Human Services. Oh, that's RFK. Oh shit.
Yep.
Yeah, that one I'm excited for. This motherfucker. Did you see, Murph? See if you can pull this up. The video of that insanely obese woman saying that assigning Robert F. Kennedy was dangerous. Like it's a shitty look. It's a shitty look because this woman is not a healthy looking person. Right?
It looks bad. Yeah.
And so you've got 3 images. This is the meme I saw. And I'm not asking him to pull up the meme. I just want him to see if he can pull up this fucking article because it's insane. But basically, there's a picture, there's a meme, there's a fucking whatever. The meme I saw was this woman, and then on the other side was Joe Biden's health secretary, and then RFK in the middle. And it was like, these people are saying this guy's unhealthy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
the irony, yeah.
It's just like, is that where? I'm not trying to shame anybody for looking a certain way, but it's really weird to show a super obese woman telling me
I think
that RFK, an environmentalist, is unhealthy. Murph, don't worry about it. Murph, don't worry about it.
Yeah, we get distracted too much with this.
Just pull up the list.
I think people want to write him off because he sounds like a crazy person. But to me, it's like most of these motherfuckers are crazy in some way or another, but that to me doesn't mean he's not capable of doing his job. He's not capable of being the right person for the job or whatever. He may have said some stupid-ass shit in the past. Guess what? I have to.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I'm not capable of doing certain
Well,
things.
and I don't agree with everything he says.
No, and if that's the benchmark, like that's the standard that we have, I have to agree with everything. We'll never have any of these jobs filled with anybody.
Well, and here's the thing, to speak to a lot of the people, and I don't know how many people that relate to me in this podcast are going to be this deep into this podcast, but to use a sports analogy that I use a lot, I'm not sure I would want RFK to be a head coach, but he's a great offensive coordinator or a great defensive coordinator, to use a sports analogy. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of guys where they're like, would you want him to coach? No, fuck no. But, dude, let me put that guy at quarterback coach. So my point is I wouldn't want RFK to be in control of everything, right? Because there's a lot of shit I don't agree with him with. But I'm pretty much lockstep with him on his environmental policies and his nutrition and dietary policies. So when you put him in charge of HHS, I'm 100% endorsing that position. Would I have voted for him for president? Fuck no, dude. He's got a couple policies that are way too far for me. But when it comes to that, dude, yeah, 100%.
No, I think he's honestly. And the thing is, I maybe I'm a sucker, but I honestly, sincerely believe that he cares about the things that he wants to do. I don't think it's about I own this kind of company and it will benefit me in order to. To me, that doesn't feel like it, like some of these positions do.
Correct.
But in that case, I honestly do believe that he's probably the right person for the job, and he might be crazy enough to pull it off.
100%. If he wanted to seek power or run for president or do any of those things, truly, if that's really what he wanted, he would have done all of those things a long time ago. The truth is, he reluctantly ran for president here in this election cycle. He chose his career and dedicated his life to environmentalism, and dude cleaned up the Hudson River and sued huge corporations for corruption and poisoning people. Yeah, that's definitely the guy I want in charge of
and
our
we
health.
get the bonus
what are we talking about
of having the JFK files released for sure.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, you forget about that.
Did you find out why who stopped them from being released last time? Pompeo. He's the reason why the JFK files never got fully released. Do
you know how much that would allow the American people to heal and move forward? Like, if you want the American people to trust the American government,
Stop
just
acting like
admit you killed him.
Yep.
Just at least let's start a new lie. Like, this is a borderline fucking.
Well, I think
this is a borderline.
I think part of it
comedian
is
level rant
part of it.
Let's just start a new lie that you killed him. Admit that, and let's start a new lie that none of those people are in control anymore. Let's at least do that thing. You know what I mean? Like, let's just admit that we did the thing and then move on. So we stop perpetuating this fucking lone gunman, Cuba, Russia, KGB
Forgot
thing.
what I was going to say.
Oh, sorry, buddy.
Honestly, like, there are probably people that are still alive today that would face probably some kind of repercussions from it. I think that might be one incentive to not release it, and two, it doesn't help the CIA look good, especially if you find out that they work in tandem with cartels and mobs and shit. But
yeah, but we could just be like, yeah, but that was those guys,
Yeah.
right? Like, so that was a dark period.
but
That
it
was a
doesn't
dark
look like
time.
it if you're hiding this shit. Yeah.
But everybody has right, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. You have to eventually admit, like the Catholic Church, like the Spanish Inquisition, like at some point in time, you got to admit your dark past and move on.
Yeah, like Operation Sea Spray, where we're spraying freaking chemical weapons over San Francisco. Well, that was them, not
Yeah,
we
yeah.
wouldn't do that now. Would
All
we?
right, let's go down a little bit more because there's some more of these I'm interested in because you know a lot more about this than I
The
do.
Office Budget and Management, Russ Vought. I think I
Ooh,
saw.
who's the new borders are? I love how they put it in quotes because it's not an official title. Do you know anything about Tom Homan?
Yes, he's that guy that's had some clips going around saying like, well, what are you going to deport families? Are you going to separate families? And he goes, if you get arrested, you get separated from your family, no matter what crime.
Oh,
that is
true though.
He's pretty brutal.
That is true though. If you get arrested for a DWI, you get separated from your family.
Correct. Yep.
Like
So
that is true.
That's why the argument is a weird argument for the left to make. Like, that's a weird one because if you commit any crime, you get separated from your family at least during the detention part of it, right? So
Yeah, like okay, if you get pulled over for a DWI and you're driving your kids home, I know that sounds unethical, but it happens. You get arrested, your kids don't get to go to jail with you. And this is the whole like Obama thing, right? Is they said you're locking kids in cages. Well, we're housing children in different cells than adults. Because when we house
Lock them
these
with-
adults,
bad stuff happens.
these adults are housed with other adults who are rapists and murderers because they're also criminals because that's just how jail works. And we're not going to put children in those cells. So, yeah, it looks horrible to see children in cells separated from their parents. But what people were arguing is, well, then you take those parents and you put them with the children. And the thing is not all of those quote-unquote parents are actually parents of those quote-unquote children.
Exactly.
And bad shit happens when you put adults in a room full of children, especially when they're suspected criminals. Dude, this is not rocket science. All right, let's keep going. So Tom Homan, Defense Secretary Pete
Well, I think the
Hegseth.
Office of Management and Budget Director guy,
Ooh.
Russ Vought.
Russ Vought.
I think I just recently saw an interview with him, and that's one of those offices that you really don't know much about.
It's a bad name choice.
But I guess they're the ones that really decide money. Like,
It's a bad name choice, though.
and like if you want to get something done, they're the ones that kind of look at where you can take money and move money from other projects and so forth.
It's a bad name choice, though, because as stupid as this sounds, there's a young generation of people who watch
Well, I think
The Boys.
Yep.
And Vought is the name of the corrupt company, right? So there is that name associated.
You're talking about the last name? Oh,
yeah,
whatever.
it's bad name choice. It really
That's
is.
his.
dude.
That's
But
his
this
name,
is how shit works. Like, young people are dumb enough to do this. Vought, nope, don't like him.
But
White guy,
Yep.
oh, what is that? Fucking Swedish? Oh, blonde hair, blue eyes. White supremacy. Don't like him.
UN ambassador. I don't know who that. I might, but I don't remember. Tom Homan.
Who's Pete Hegseth?
He's the Fox, former Fox, or weekend Fox host on one of the shows, but he
This seems like a bad move.
but he is a 20-year veteran, right, isn't he? With two Bronze Stars or something like that. He's got a Princeton degree and a Harvard degree or something like that.
Okay, let's look him up. Let's bring it up because I want to see this because he's been getting a little shit because they're like, oh, you appoint another TV host.
Yep, but that's why they're trying to simplify and reduce him down to
So
that.
let's do this. Let's vet him out, right? Like if he's super credible, let's just show that because I'm sick and tired of being duped. I'm done. I'm fucking done, dude. I'm over it, dude. And I don't have time to do this except on this podcast. This podcast, especially now that we have producers, is the best opportunity I have with people like you that come on and go, no, Jared, no. He's not XYZ. He's this.
Princeton.
And his look, his face, like he looks like that guy that is easily made fun of because he's uber good looking. Right.
Well, and there's some kind of sinisterness of like a lot of the
former Army National Guard. Okay, scroll down. Keep going. Scroll down. I want to see on the right side. Yeah, born. Okay, spout. Keep going. Branches of service: United States Army. Rank. Blah 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 blah. He served the Iraq War in Afghanistan. So he served. Okay, he's got the Bronze Medal, Army Commendation.
Combat Infantry badge.
Yeah, okay. He's got the Bronze Star. I mean, he's
got the college degree.
He was born from here.
Yep.
Sold. We got to turn his headphones down. If I'm blowing him out, we can't be doing that.
Yeah.
Sold. He's from here. Born here.
I think he lives in Forest Lake or something.
I say less, dude. Done.
But the controversy with him is they're trying to get him on a sex thing too.
Well, yeah, because he's gorgeous.
But his tattoos are white supremacy tattoos, supposedly, when they're just religious and war tattoos. They're Catholic tattoos. So he went to Forest Lake High School.
Sold. Say less. I'm in. Love this guy. He's anti-walls and he's from here. Dude, not only will I donate to him to run for president, I'll blow him. I'll jerk him off on this podcast.
But I mean, like, what are they?
Gay?
I forgot what I was going to say again. You interrupt me so much, dude.
I'm sorry, buddy. I'll work on it.
So one of the things is he's got some Crusades tattoos on. You know, he's got some We the People tattoos. So like the patriotic stuff, and then he's got some of the Christian symbols, Catholic symbols, Crusade symbols. So then they're trying to paint them as he's a white supremacist because he's got those tattoos, which is bullshit. His biggest controversy is he slept with a married woman, and she tried to claim that he drugged her at some point.
It says he's got a Jerusalem cross tattoo.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, none of these things are red flags to me.
No, and if you question the story that they're running on him about this woman that he supposedly slept with, he got paid to go speak to at a women's conservative convention or some shit, right? And he was drinking with some of the ladies afterwards. He's a good-looking guy, of course. That's gonna happen, right? And I guess he was feeling frisky or whatever. But the two women that he was with called his handler, the person that might have hired him for it or whatever, and say, "Hey, come get your boy," or whatever. And so she went and she finished the night out with him. And I guess her husband and her kids were in the same hotel, and she disappeared for 9 hours. Yeah, it's kind of suspect because she said she was hazy and she didn't remember anything, implying that she was drugged. She got a rape kit.
Were they older ladies?
I don't know.
Or were they like young hot chicks?
I would assume that they were adults. That's all.
Or were they like young hot chicks?
I don't know.
I'm saying, were they like, like fucking 24, 25? Like, are they being like, oh, he manipulated? Or were they like 45? And
I
they're
don't know.
like,
I
he
don't know.
got a little handsy.
That I
You know?
that I don't know.
Let's find that out. I just want to see pictures.
But like, if he did he need to drug someone? Like, and why didn't he drug those 2 women? You know, like he had a, why this one?
That's
But he
what
was
I'm
trying
getting
to.
at.
I mean, it just the story doesn't make any sense. It really sounds like a woman who had an affair with a
Honestly,
a
here's
good-looking
what
dude, and
you know what it really you know what it really sounds like to me. Again, like we were talking about street smarts. Sounds like a super gorgeous dude banged a chick
Yep.
and then didn't want to stay with her, and now she's mad.
that wasn't even the case because she was married with the kids, and they were at the same hotel as where she was cheating on him.
Okay, well maybe whatever, but you get my point. Like it sounds like a bitter woman. That's basically what it sounds like. Because guys like this that are this good looking, like it's too like.
I don't think it's that. I think it's that she, in a moment of passion.
All right, we can move to the next guy. But what I'm getting at, dude, is like guys like this rarely actually force them. Yeah, they might be into some weird kinky shit, and things might go a little weird in the bedroom. You know, that's a gray area. You know what I mean? Like that Army Hammer shit. That's a little gray area. Okay? What? The next month, Hegseths urge healthy people to get the... let's move on. We're going to move on from Hegs. I also encourage people to get vaccinated if I thought they were in a at-risk group. I flat out said that on this podcast over and over again with you. I said, if you're somebody who believes they're in an at-risk group and you believe the vaccine is going to help you stay healthy or alive, go get the vaccine.
Yeah.
That's called hedging your bets. That's called being very smart about the words that you put out in public. I never once said I took the vaccine. I never once said, Jamal, you should go get vaccinated.
Where's that list again?
Yeah, let's get back to the list, dude.
He's a handsome guy, but
He's gorgeous. I mean, he's a stud. I mean, I'd probably bang him if I was even remotely gay.
Doug Collins.
If I was even remotely gay, I would let Pete Hegseth have his way with me. But I'm not even close. So, unfortunately, Pete, sorry, off limits. Jason, clip that, you son of a bitch.
Doug Collins, I think, if it's who I think it is, he's always been an enemy of the Veterans Affairs people because he's always wanted to address certain things. Because there's a lot of bureaucracy in taking care of veterans and their medical health care contracts and shit like that. And so it's not very effective, and there's no incentive to actually find treatments that might be better.
So if anybody is gonna legalize psilocybin treatment,
Yep, it'd be him.
and help veterans
Yep.
recover from PTSD, it's going to be probably Trump via executive order, but it'll be him.
This guy right here wants that. Yep, and
he wants it. He does.
he wants that. Yeah,
For real?
Yeah, and
Well,
and
let's back this up because who's VP?
I want to double check it's the same
Vance?
guy.
Vance, when he was on Rogan, didn't know anything about it. When Rogan brought it up, Vance was like he had never heard about it. So just Murph, Google, is Doug Collins pro mushroom treatment for PTSD?
I think he just did it. Let's see. I'll look at it myself here. I could be wrong, and maybe he picked out somebody different.
Oh my God, we look great. Look how good we look on camera, dude. We look.
Maybe
gorgeous.
it's not this guy. Maybe it's he. Let's see here. Maybe Trump picked a different guy.
I don't know, dude.
I have to look because I might be speaking out of turn here.
Gates just withdrew, and it had the updated one on there.
Yep.
So if it's got him on there, then we got to assume it's him.
I don't know though because I don't know if I listened to an interview with this guy prior to him being picked.
Oh, that's what
or
you're saying.
post
Okay.
being picked, so it might not even be the same guy. But I know that Trump had approached him about the job and said, they all hate you. Like, I can't pick you because they all hate you or whatever. So that's why I don't think they picked him last time. But I think this time he picked him because they all hated him. Because I think he realized he's not an insider. But
I see
don't,
what you're saying.
But I don't
see
know
what
if
you're
that's
saying.
that guy because the name doesn't seem all that familiar. Just the job that was up.
Well, what I thought was super interesting is when Vance was on when Vance was on Rogan, Vance seemed genuinely interested, and Vance seemed like super genuine, and he's like, "I'm gonna look into that." Yeah, and if what you're saying is true, like we're gonna consider that, and that's what I loved about JD Vance. Like, dude, and honestly, as much. What's that? If he's pro mushroom treatment for PTSD. But
I'll have to look at Tucker Carlson.
But what was super interesting to me, you guys, and this is a little sidebar while we get this sorted, is I will say this, you guys. Whether you like Tim Walz or not, when Tim Walz and JD Vance did their debate, I felt this overwhelming return to civility.
Mm-hmm. I actually didn't mind.
I couldn't fucking wait for 2028 when Trump isn't an option, when salacious Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton and Donald, you know what I mean? Like, just this polarizing fucking, like, let's just make shit up and hate each other. I can't wait for 2028 when we have boring politicians again like JD Vance and Tim Walz running for president. Because that's who it's going to be. In 2028, it's JD Vance. You guys know that, right? In 2028, it's JD Vance, and you know who his VP is, right? Super obvious. It's Vivek Ramaswamy.
I don't know.
It's super obvious. Because if Vivek Ramaswamy is your VP, you can't accuse them of racism. The dude is not a white person. You know what I mean? He's not even a Christian. Like, it eliminates the entire argument from the left. You guys realize this, right? Like, am I the only one that sees this way?
I'll have to look up this stuff later. It's too distracting.
2028 Republican ticket is...
You might be right, but
is JD Vance for president, and he'll probably win.
But I think Vivek has aspirations of his own.
Yeah, which is president, which will come after JD Vance.
Well,
like, like it's a linear ticket. It's super obvious. 2032, 2036 would be... That's Vivek.
I don't know. Sometimes they pick VPs in a
so
weird,
maybe you're right.
way.
Maybe you're right. Maybe Vivek backs out because you don't want to run 8 years as VP and then try to become. Yeah, you're right. You want to.
Well, and if they always pick people like I've never seen. It's never been obvious.
Tulsi, pick Tulsi.
Has there ever been obvious who they're going to
pick Tulsi?
Has it ever been obvious?
Sorry, buddy. I'm sorry. Dude.
Has it ever been obvious who the VP was ever going to be in any election?
Oh, good point.
You know what I mean? It's always. Sometimes it seems like it comes out of nowhere.
Sometimes it creates balance on the ticket.
Like even Vance. I mean, there are probably some people a little closer to everything that would. Oh, I knew Vance would be VP all along, but I don't know. I didn't know. I thought it would have been Vivek last time. You know, but they pick him for weird reasons. I hoped
he would have picked Tulsi. I think he still would have won if he would have picked Tulsi.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'm 100% certain if he picked Tulsi as his VP, he still would have won. Because he would have overwhelmingly won the female vote because she's way more likable, right? He would have won even. I think that actually would have been more of a landslide if he would have picked Tulsi.
I mean, don't some of them look like she's not a villain, but she looks like a villain with that white streak in her hair. Like I see the stuff on. I could see why the left can easily see them as villains. You know what I mean?
She's too pretty.
Like Pete Hegseth is so.
She's too pretty.
Back hair. And
she's too pretty.
Matt Gaetz with the sinister eyebrows and you know what I mean. They look like they could be.
But she's
villains.
But Tulsi's too pretty, and she's too pretty in a non-slutty way. Like she's beautiful. You know what I mean? Like she's gorgeous. She's not like Megan Fox slutty.
See,
hot.
I don't think that like leftists see that things that way. They see everything as demons. It seems like
I think you
The-
might
the
be right,
crazy
dude.
ones,
I think
you
you
know what I
might be
mean?
right, dude. The half that I'm talking
Yeah.
about. Because I'm convinced half of the left is like what I used to be, just super normal and rational. But the problem is I'm telling you, dude, it's like 50%, dude. I think there's 35 million. It's 10% of America
So
that is legitimately mentally ill, and they're not 100%, but they're like 90%.
So what
on
do you
the
think
left.
happens with Tulsi being in control of the intelligence agencies? Or at least being the boss, like the top.
I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm super excited, and I trust whatever she does.
I believe that I think she'll have good intent. I bet you they hide a lot of shit because I don't think you can root out that shit. And I have a feeling that even if you like fire some of these bad actors.
Are we on a no? Is that where we're resolving with Doug Collins? Can't find it. So
no,
nothing
I
on
have
Doug Collins.
Too
Okay.
much to dig into. It might not be the same guy as I saw an interview.
That's cool though. I'm glad honestly getting nothing is good. Like a quick no is almost better than a long yes.
Yeah,
Like
no.
we can circle back and find out Doug Collins is pro on another podcast. I'd rather get a fast non-conclusive no.
We got it.
We'll move on. I'd rather do that. So Mike Walls, what do we know about Michael Waltz? Nothing.
We're still talking about Tulsi.
Yeah, I know we were just talking about Tulsi, but Doug Burgum, I don't know nothing about Chris Wright. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, you guys know anything about these
No.
guys? Keep going.
Secretary of Energy, is he one of the one? He might be. I think he might be an oil guy, or a fossil fuel guy.
What we need it, dude. Like, I'm not convinced. This is the thing. I'm zero convinced on this electric car, electric
Well,
appliances.
I think you can do that stuff, but let it happen organically instead of being mandating all this bullshit.
But what I see on these pits,
Oh, for sure, yeah. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good.
it looks way worse than when you show me a pit and then you show me an oil
yeah.
well,
Yeah, you're not selling me as that's environmental at all. Yeah.
the oil well is way better. like when you show me those things post, you know? Like, dude, no, these pits are, it's scary.
Linda McMahon, that should be an interesting one.
Who's that?
WWE.
Scroll down, Murph.
The wife of Vince McMahon.
Oh, get out of
It's
here.
for
Are you
real.
serious?
It's for real, yeah.
See, these are the things that scare me.
Kristi Noem, Homeland Security. See, now I like.
Okay, no, let's stay on Secretary of Education. This scares the shit out of me. So the wife of the guy who owns the used to own the WWE. They don't even own it anymore. They sold it to a Saudi Arabian company, I think. Am I right? No.
I don't know. That's not that important.
Well, it kind of is because like they basically just sold all their shit and now they're getting into politics.
No, I think.
I guess it doesn't matter.
I
who
think
they
she's
sold it
been
to.
trying to be into politics for a while now. Yeah. Yeah, I think she's always had some kind of
No
aspirations to do. Yep. And you know what? I'm not going to shit on her because she's obviously a successful person. She knows how to run a business. I just don't know what
Does she?
But yeah, for
Or
sure.
does Vince know how to run a
No,
business?
oh, that's completely sexist thing to say.
She's legit.
She's legit.
She
Yeah.
is. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna take your. I don't know shit about the WWF,
I just don't want. I don't want to dismiss her because of that. Because
but
that
it's
seems
easy
it's,
to.
It's easy to be, but that's the low IQ way of looking at things. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But now, what is her plans for education? I mean, isn't the whole point of it to kind of just tear down the Department of Education anyway? I mean, I don't know what the deal is. We'll see. She had aspirations to be a teacher at some point in time, and I think it was quite limited, but
Okay, so yeah, she's Senate Committee on Small Business and Entrepreneurship. I mean, yeah, okay.
So she's already served on an.
Oh wait, on November 19th, 2024. Oh yeah, okay.
If you scroll up on 2016, December 7th.
But I just don't see where she has an education background. This is what concerns me. This is what I'm talking about. Like, maybe it makes sense.
I don't know. I don't think it makes sense. I don't think it makes sense. Well, but then again, I don't also want to use fallacies to be like, oh, she can't run a business, or
Well, maybe she can run a business, but I'm not sure that education should be run that way.
Well,
it's definitely not being run the right way.
No.
So I mean, I get it, and this is the thing. Like, let's give these guys the benefit of the doubt. Let's give them a shot. But I don't want them to dig their claws into the point where we start privatizing prisons again. You know what I mean? Because that went south. So let's not just fucking.
I think the agenda is school choice and things like that. They're really gonna.
School choice is cute. It makes sense to a degree, but not everybody can afford a private school. And at the end of the day, it's kind of like a utility. You can't run private gas lines to everybody's house. You can't
but I
have
don't.
16 gas companies.
I don't think that school choice makes it still private education. They're going to leave
It muddies the water.
They're going to leave the education to the states, supposedly. I don't really know that much about it, but
I do understand the argument though of like, okay, we got to back off the idea of redistributing wealth. We take all these tax dollars from California and New York and we give it to fucking Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Florida, figure your shit out. Right? Which, that's a very Republican way to look at it. Old school Republican. That's something that the Democrats would never be in favor of.
Well, I think
back in the day.
But it's a simple concept that if you want to affect change, like you go after your local government. The farther removed from your
hold on. On April 1st, 2010, McMahon resigned from the State Board of Education because law does not allow board members to solicit campaign contributions. Okay, so this is a weird. Okay, so that's cool. There was a controversy. I get it. I'm not going to sit here and get into this on Wikipedia. The point is, she did serve on a school board. She does have a background in that. She might have even suffered from some corruption on it. She might have been corrupt herself. But the idea is that she is not blindly stepping into this. She does have a background in some version of a board of education. So it's not. You know what's crazy?
It's not.
You know
zero.
What's crazy
right.
is it took us how long? 5 minutes. And if I'm gonna quote Rich Azada, he probably got a little frustrated that we didn't figure that out immediately. But sometimes these things take a few minutes. That's significantly more patience than CNN would ever take.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? CNN isn't going to go that far. CNN's just going to run with the idea that this bitch has no fucking experience. But all it took is a couple producers being paid fucking my money out of pocket. We're not even profitable. I'm just giving these guys what I can afford. That's how dedicated these guys are. And it took them a few minutes to figure this out. But there's producers being paid $100,000 salaries living in New York, and they're not doing that kind of research. That's a lack of transparency. This is going back to where we started this. Let's get back to the list. But this is where we started this.
Are they being paid to do research? Or
this is why they lost the election. It's because they're no longer honest. The entirety of the left, mainstream media, legacy, whatever you want to call it. Let's get back to this list and see if we can find any more of these, and then we'll wrap this up. Because I'm having a blast doing this, but we do got to fucking get everybody out of here. No, I know. We got too many fucking tabs open, dude. I know. I know how it is, dude. I've done your job, dude. This is why I don't bust your guys' balls. I mean, I do, but.
It's all good.
Cheers, buddy. So are you happy that Trump won?
Uh,
Because I'm not.
I
I'm
hate,
happy
listen,
that Walls
I
did not
dislike
get.
government.
I'm glad that Walls did not make it one step from being president.
I guess I can explain where I stand politically. Obviously, I'm a libertarian, and I didn't get a libertarian.
I voted Trump,
president.
but I'm not happy you won.
Um,
I'm not gloating.
I honestly believe that all these things need to be looked at and investigated. The CIA, the FBI, all of them need to be investigated. They've been up to bad stuff for a long time, and hopefully this is what's going to get it. Am I optimistic that it's going to happen? No, but this is the closest thing we might have to setting some stuff back a little bit. I think these are bad for Americans.
Do you think
The
that?
spying on American citizens.
Do you think that a lot of this is just a good 4-year pause? Because we know Trump's not going to stick around.
we need stuff to come out into light? Because then that could be used to constantly be like, hey,
Okay.
you guys just did this. You guys just
Yep.
did this. And
Yep.
now you're saying we should do this. We don't have anything to use against them because they control all the information.
All right. So let's get back to this because a lot of these do get more and more interesting.
Christy Nome.
Scroll back up where we left off.
Linda McMahon was the next one up.
Okay,
So
yeah,
we can
yeah,
move
yeah.
on.
So we got Scott Bessent, don't know him. Secretary of Labor, don't know her.
U.S. Ambassador to NATO.
Yeah, I don't know any of these. Christy
You
Nome,
know who
I know that
is.
name.
Yeah, Governor South Dakota. Yeah.
Oh, she's kind of badass. Isn't she the
Yes
one?
and
Isn't
no.
she the one who was like, "Yeah, fuck all your woke bullshit. We're not tearing down any of our monuments." Wasn't she that chick?
But I'm concerned that she is like full blown, like conservative, like
Yeah. Again, you know why I like having those people in power? They're super easy to control because they go way too far, way too fast,
Well,
and it's super easy to be like, "No, bitch, we got laws. You can't do that." And then they're like, "Damn."
I mean, it's
It's
but
just super easy
she's
to
of that
shut them
mindset.
down.
She's one of those people that don't think marijuana should be legal and all that kind of stuff. Like
Well,
she's
it's not up
that
to her
hard.
anymore.
But that's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, she goes hard in the paint for those things, and to me, I don't know if that is good for Homeland Security or not. Because Homeland Security has always been one of
That
those
is true.
always been one of those
This
things
is
that's been
true.
weaponized against people.
Nope, this is true.
The
And you
spying
and
on
I are
Americans
lockstep
is-
on this.
yep.
Yep.
And us libertarians know that Homeland Security is literally
Anti-American.
considering
anti-American.
libertarians as,
Fascism.
no, as extremists. We were the Homeland Security is put on
Stay on the mic, dude.
extremist lists and shit like that. Like they put out papers saying, "Hey, sovereign citizens, libertarians."
They create extremists.
not even that they create extremists. They label anybody that's truly like
That's what I mean.
critical of
that's what I mean.
government.
That's what I mean. So they create actual extreme. They're like, you're now an extremist. We created you. Like you're a person, but now we made you an extremist. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
So they
well, I
create
just
them,
labeled
and then on top of that, their acts are fascist. They're absolute.
see something, say something.
They're absolute. And you and I talked about this during the riots. Like, we saw them. We protested against this shit when 9/11 happened. And then they showed up during the riots 20 years later, fucking snatching people off the street
Yeah.
with
So,
fucking zero
so to me,
retribution.
who's ever in that position,
You got to be careful. Yeah.
because I don't even think it should.
She is a badass, but you're right. You're right. Pump the brakes, Jared. Pump the brakes, you fuck. Okay.
Scott Turner. I think
No one cares about that position.
John Ratcliffe is one I
There's
really
a
want to
TV
look
show about how little people care about HUD secretary. It's called Designated Survivor. It's the lowest, rung. So if everybody in government dies, the last guy who can be appointed president is the HUD secretary. They wrote a whole TV show about it. It's great. Kiefer Sutherland. Fucking fantastic. Swear to God, one of the greatest shows of all time. Lasted, 3 seasons? Fucking amazing, dude. Oh, my God, dude. Great show. CIA Director John Ratcliffe, what do we know about this fuck?
Nothing.
You know what?
I'm gonna have to do
You
some
know what?
research on him.
Seems very mousy. Don't like him. Don't like him. Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi. We talked about her already,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't be. I didn't want her for this spot.
No,
if you
I
guys
wanted her
would
for
have elected,
Secretary of State
me too, bro.
or some kind of Department
Or
of
defense.
Yeah.
Yep.
But this is good too.
I think we talked about this before the podcast. I think she picked this spot. I think she said, "This is," and I'm just making this up. I'm literally. This is just. And usually when I do this, I'm not right. I'm usually wrong, but my gut tells me. It's not even my gut. My brain tells me. She sat in a room with Trump, and he was like, "What job do you want?" And she was like, "You know what? What I actually want is I want Director of National Intelligence, and here's why. These motherfuckers put me on a fucking list. Like, they fucking told me I can't fly on a goddamn plane. Who runs this?
See, I don't think she's
Make me director, and I'll figure this shit out, because this is un-American. You can't just put people on lists like Nazi Germany.
I believe.
And I believe she did the whole fucking snaps, all the yo home girl. No,
I
I'm
don't
just
think
kidding.
this was even one she considered. To be honest with you,
You think this was her option?
this was her option.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like one that would fit any
Do you
of her
think they
background.
IQ tested her and they were like, she didn't know, but they were like, listen, according to our little analysis, this is the spot where you're going to be
I
the
could
best.
totally be wrong, but I have a feeling like this is one of the ones that she was offered. Because she's, you know, as much as they're trying to say she's a Russian asset, you know, which is bullshit, I think she seems like the most down-to-earth, more reasonable person. She obviously came from the left. She had to abandon all that crazy shit. They kind of ostracized her or whatever. But she's always seemed like a reasonable, sensible person.
What
and
if
she's
she
never,
is a Russian asset?
Yeah, that would
Think
be
about the craziness
be
that she
pretty
just
damn
became
good.
the director of national intelligence.
Well, you know, but supposedly Trump is a Russian asset too, so that makes total sense. Oh my God, the Russians just took over, comrade. No,
But imagine like a TV show. You know what I mean?
I just think you need an ethical person at the top of this, at least, to keep
Yeah.
those organizations in check, because they run shit with black operations and selling drugs and weapons and stuff, and they don't get congressional approval for their programs and shit like that. There's no oversight of these groups.
I 100% trust Tulsi Gabbard to lead this part of the government, and know in my heart that if somebody from the CIA or FBI contacts YouTube and tries to shut down my podcast because of whatever, it didn't come from her. I can genuinely believe that. Like,
Yeah, I don't think she'll be out
No, she's not going to do that. It's free speech. Like, I truly believe she's on that Elon Musk train, you know, which we'll get to here in a few appointments. But like,
She should have
no,
been.
I believe she's a free speech absolutist. I believe that she believes that no. At the end of the day, these podcasters should be allowed to fucking talk their shit, do their deal. If you want to sue them in civil court from some fucking, you know, because they defame somebody, whatever, that's your ability. But the government is not going to use my example, the Twitter files, right? The government is not going to use social media platforms to crack down on podcasters
and sway elections. And
yeah,
stuff
no,
like that.
dude. I trust her. I truly. So if that happens going forward, I will never believe that it's at her discretion.
And
it will be somebody
and does she have a
underneath
single?
her.
Does she have a single scandal?
I
don't
mean,
think that-
people said she's an Assad toady.
Yeah, that's some
and a
bullshit.
Russian
Yeah,
toady.
that's some bullshit.
So that's her scandal.
Yeah,
And
but she's got no.
I mean, I want to talk Game of Thrones. You know, Tyrion Lannister. You make friends with your enemies, not your friends.
Mhm.
Like, that's the fucking point.
Well, what's
Like,
crazy?
to resolve a
But
conflict.
it's crazy that Nancy
mean-
Pelosi had met with Assad too,
Right.
and Obama even campaigned on the talking to everybody, because
Right.
the minute you don't talk, that's when the war starts.
Exactly.
So it's like, yeah, it's bullshit. Yeah.
All right. So Christine Noem, Scott Turner, John Ratcliffe, Tulsi
The
Gabbard,
EPA one
Lee
should be
Zeldin,
interesting.
Z Zeldin.
You drunk?
Yeah, I'm getting there. I've had
Well, you can call it
had-
though. It's 10 o'clock. Let's call it.
I've had 4 beers. No, I want to get to Elon. Let's keep going.
I don't know. Elon can't actually be ahead of anything government because
Mike
he's-
Huckabee.
Yeah, he's gonna be the ambassador to Israel.
If I remember right, I'm not a big fan of Mike Huckabee. Yeah, I know. We're skipping
We're
down.
skipping. We're gonna end this. I think.
Yeah, we're trying to wrap this up. So Mike Huckabee, if I remember right, I'm not a fan
There we
of
go.
Huckabee.
Department of Government Efficiency, Elon Musk.
But we don't just need to. But seriously, if I remember right, Mike Huckabee. What's going on with Mike Huckabee, guys? Is my instincts right?
Just he's
Because
an
I'm telling you,
ambassador.
Mike Huckabee, not the best. Am I right? I am. Okay.
He's conservative guy. Yeah,
I don't think, and this is what I was
mean,
saying.
to
There's
me-
a few of these that are head scratchers. Mike
Yeah.
Huckabee's. I remember this. I'm just like
Who do you put in that position?
ambassador to Israel.
Yeah,
Who do I put in that spot?
yeah. That would be a tough one.
Hulk Hogan. No, I'm just joking.
I guess-
I'm obviously joking. I'm
I guess
obviously joking. But
you'd pick someone that you would want to be able to.
Stone Cold Steve Austin. I don't know. I can't. I genuinely can't answer your question.
You'd put someone in because Trump doesn't want all this war and stuff like that. Everybody's afraid that he's going to be so pro-Israel, but at the end of the day, he doesn't actually want a war. I think he will be pro-Israel, but I don't think that he's going to be happy with them doing whatever they want to do either. So, you obviously got to put someone that's kind of loyal to you, that's going to still kind of follow your wishes, but still be.
Yeah, that's
a
a
good
weird one.
ambassador.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's a weird spot. I don't know how to play that.
Well, let's
Because there
look
could be worse ones for sure.
let's both take some time and look into this specific spot, that guy, and let's think about that for the next time you come on in another 90 days. The one I want to talk about that's not a real spot, but it absolutely is the new created Department of Government Efficiency with Elon and Vivek Ramaswamy.
Vivek.
Vivek.
Say his name right, racist.
I think Vivek sounds better, so I'm going to keep
That's
saying
totally
Vivek.
racist.
I mean, here's the thing, dude.
Fake.
Yeah, unless we're speaking English, and then it's Vivek.
He just get really racist.
I mean, here's what I'm going to say, dude. Here's what I'm going to say, man. When you're in Mexico and your name's Juan, it's Juan. But when you're in America, it's Juan. You see what I'm saying?
No.
Like
Let's
we
move
don't.
on.
We're in America, bro. Your name's Vivek. Deal with it, dog. Suck it, nerd. Fucking dork.
But I think this department has a end date. So if it was gonna be a permanent one, they'd have to change that. I think they have a certain amount of time to get this shit done.
Well, I mean, there are the Department of Government
Mhm.
Efficiency. Yeah, they
But they
definitely only have a certain amount of time to get it done.
But they made
Otherwise, it's not efficient.
But they made it a point, though. I don't think it's the full 4 years of the term. Like it's like I don't know if it's 2 years or something like that. Yeah, and it's got an expiration date, and I don't think it has to do with the election, but I think it might even be like a year or two or something like that.
I get it, but what this really should be is I kind of came up with a similar idea a while back, which is there should be almost like a randomized lottery of private companies that come in and audit the government. And you try your best, right, to basically not foolproof it, but lotterize it, right? Like, it's very hard to rig the lottery. It's so highly regulated, right?
I wish I was as
And the reason the idea, where this idea came from is that when Guitar Center wanted to sell themselves to Bain Capital, who Mitt Romney owned, the report of their lack of shrink, which for people that don't know, which basically means stolen shit. It's a loss of inventory. That's what shrink means. Guitar Center's numbers were so unbelievable, they had to hire an outside auditing agency to come in and prove that those numbers were true. We should do that with the government. That's what this agency is. But instead of installing a permanent agency that can easily be corrupted, it should be lotterized into a random outside private company that comes in and audits the government to continually.
I got to answer this. Randomized CI-fronted company. That's exactly what's going to happen. I'm not positive that that can be done.
I mean, then can this be done? You know what I mean? Like, you're putting the entire faith on the country on two guys who are not going to be here in 2 years.
Oh, I'm sure they're going to.
You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. We got to figure out something more long-term, because otherwise you just wait 2 years.
But the thing is, if you don't put
what are we talking
Can I
about?
talk? If we don't have a timeline, and all we did is added a new department, another department that can get corrupt, and
that's just
you're just
to the
growing
bureaucracy.
government,
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
and then they won't be doing anything efficiently. So let's just see what they do. And I don't think it's just going to be him. They're going to be walking in with all kinds of IT guys and all kinds of analysts, and they're going to
install Skynet, and we're going to become an AI government within 9 months.
It's not going to be just two guys.
It's two guys in an AI program that's going to fuck everybody, and
it's
these
gonna
two
be a
guys are
team.
going to be the billionaire class that are going to lead the oligarchy.
And if you saw the shit we waste our money on, like $1.6 billion or it's $1.3 or $1.6 billion a year to operate, to maintain, actually, 77,000 U.S. government buildings that are unoccupied.
How about $1 billion in 107 days to lose a job?
Oh, you're talking about Kamala?
Yeah. $1 billion in 107 days to do literally fucking nothing. To do fuck all. She spent $1 billion in 107 days to do fuck all. To be a loser. And she was trying to convince you, the American public, that she should be in control of the economy and our war decisions. That person.
How much do you think she had control?
107 days.
How much do you think she has of control of that campaign spending?
90% of it.
You think so?
Yep. The same way you have to hold a CEO accountable for running a company.
Oh, I know. No, I'm not saying will she be accountable. Does she make those decisions?
The same way you hold a CEO accountable. A CEO appoints certain people to make certain decisions. At the end of the day, the reason a CEO makes 900 times the salary of a ground level worker is because they're 900% in charge of those decisions.
I think we're talking two different things.
So yeah.
I'm saying she doesn't know anything about fucking campaigning. I think she listened to campaigners all day long. And yes, the fault lies on her. I'm not saying
she put those people in
But
positions.
what I'm saying is that she didn't make those decisions. That's what I'm saying. I'm not sticking up for her, but
yeah, I see where you're going with this, but again, I look at it like the sports analogy, like the head coach. Yeah, maybe your offense coordinator made that game plan, but you hired that offense coordinator.
Yeah,
you made that decision.
When you want to fire someone, yes. Like when you want to actually do something about it, yes. But in this case, there's nobody paid that price. She already paid the price. She's not elected. But that's not the point I was trying to make.
No, but she is the tip of the spear. Therefore, she is the spear.
Yeah,
that's the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, we established that. We just go in circles.
No, but that's all I'm saying. Like, so yes, whether I'm right or wrong is irrelevant. I'm answering your question honestly. yes, I believe she made those decisions because she put those people
'Cause
in those positions.
I honestly believe that.
Is there any other these that are interest
Let's call
of
it.
you? Yeah, I don't know any of these other people. Do you have anything musically going on right now?
No,
other
I just
than
play in a cover band.
other than other people trying to seduce you to join their bands that you're not interested in right now?
I don't know if I got time to do a whole lot more than that. I need to make money.
What are you doing
Can't
with the cover shit right now? It's still just Benjamin Ray and
Still playing with him, and then I trying to start DJ thing, which I've been doing.
you got anything coming up that people can come check out if they want to come see you this weekend or next weekend?
In
or that?
Cahoots Wednesday night
Out in Hamel?
in Hamel. I love that place. That's a cool place.
I used to literally work directly
Yeah.
next door to that place.
One
Have
of
I
my
told you
favorite
this
places
story?
to play. Yep.
Have I told you this story?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite places to play.
Really?
Everybody's nice. There's never any drama. It's it seems to get busier
That's
as
this
the night goes
weekend?
along. This is Wednesday. Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. Oh yeah, the night before
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, I won't make. Normally, I'd be like, you know what? I might come out.
And I got another gig on Saturday. But
Where?
I don't remember. I'll have to look.
Where can people find it though? BenjaminRay.
Yep.
.com.
Correct.
BenjaminRay.com. All right, love you guys. Jared Singer live. We'll wrap this up. See you guys.